All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the finale of the semifinals of CPL 7. We got 5 more games heading your way, and I am here. I'm Save Zero. I'm here with Neon Sword. How you doing, buddy?
Hello. Thanks for having me on.
I'm always glad to have people helping out with casting. I felt like the season we were really good, having a lot of a variety of casters helping out with a lot of stuff. So always thankful for any of that kind of thing that we see. But like I said, we're finishing up the semifinals right now. This is the Cheese Police versus Flying SCVs Tier 3. As the current score, as things are, Flying SCVs has 9 points. So if they win one more, they're in. That's like they're on the cusp. So Cheese Police is going to have to run the table to make sure that doesn't happen. And whoever gets through gets to fight Destructoads, the number 1 seed. They barely squeaked their way through the semifinals. They won 10-9, super close.
Ooh, that is a close match.
Yeah, so we're hoping whoever gets to the finals can give them the run for the money. There's the CPL curse that the number 1 seed going into the playoffs never actually wins the playoffs, but we'll see if this one ends up happening here. But like I said, Flying SCVs at 9 points currently. We'll see if they can close it out. Now, I got the game open. I need you to get on in here so we can get started, which I believe I told you the info before, but just in case, I'm putting it in the caster's channel now. It's always the same info every time. Other than that, I hope everyone's having a nice weekend. Excited to start the finals casting. Basically, we were waiting until semifinals were done before we start, so I don't know if someone's going to do something tomorrow, but definitely Tuesday match of the week is going to be some finals action, so definitely going to be exciting. Hope everyone's looking forward to it. We're almost done with the CPL 7 season, but that doesn't mean you have no reason to be excited about StarCraft. New ladder season, new maps, no more plasma. Everyone's feeling good, right?
I don't know. Playing on Plasma was quite the experience.
Yeah, that's the nice way of saying it's bad. It's like when someone has a build and you're like, well, it's interesting. It's like, interesting doesn't ever mean anything good. All right, we're in that first game to on Eclipse in the top right in the blue Terran. It's Josh, the weekend man.
Yes, and our yellow Protoss in the bottom left is Shantis Kwan.
Yeah,
I'm the first time I've seen that name.
Yeah, I'm looking at it on the top versus bottom. I am never casting black again if I can avoid it. You guys are crazy for picking it. So, always thankful for any players willing to play the top versus bottom, make our lives a little bit easier.
Well, I think it's even worse if they play on use map settings because everybody's colors end up yellow.
Yeah, like there's a lot of the modes. You gotta play the top versus bottom. Let the casters control our own fate if we don't like what you got rolled. Or you can pick your own colors and be nice about it. That's what I do. Like, I'll pick something vibrantly different if my opponent if I know they're gonna pick a color. So it's no big deal.
Are you one of those magenta players as well, or do you just like?
Yeah, magenta, orange, white. Whatever's gonna look good.
Honestly, myself, I always choose magenta. Like you can tell it's one of my replays because it's just like a magenta Terran.
Living up to your Neon Sword name, I get it. No big deal. All right, so I know you play the Terran pieces. How you feel about Eclipse? We've been playing on it for a long time. I feel like strategies, it seems to be the same kind of stuff we see all the time here. So, is there anything in particular you like?
Yeah, and talking about same style stuff, I think he's going for a gas steal right now. That probe was pretty fast. It was a pylon scout, and he should be taking the gas right about now.
He had the opportunity to, chose not to. So I like personally going for the gas steal if you want to go for it, but if your opponent left it open, you can throw them off their build just by going for it if you don't want to. And also the probes in here sees that the buildings are in that kind of position that gives you a little bit of micro. So he already has the info if he wants to make that first zealot put pressure on, or if he wants to just kind of go into his normal thing.
Well, I mean, he's just playing like an honorable game. I mean, he scouted, he didn't see a whole bunch of anything. He just saw that the gas was going down, so I'm sure he's feeling pretty comfortable that he's not going to get cheesed, by fast Marines.
Well, you say that, though, but look what's already happening in that bro space.
Oh, the Forge, yeah. He's still hiding that probe by the natural, so I wonder what he intends to do. If he's going to try to go for a contain with cannons?
I don't know. So, only thing I could think of, right? If you're doing what I think we're about to see here, where you're going to start the cannon rush at the natural, make sure they can't take the expansion. I don't like it against Terran, because all they got to do is go siege expand. You'll have the siege mode, then clear it out. It's a big investment from you. It slows down your Nexus, your tech, all this kind of stuff. We'll see what it ends up being, though. With the probe not in the base, we're not going for anything completely insane, but...
Yeah, I mean, look at these SCVs. They're on the ramp already, so Josh is already pretty scared of what can happen. I mean, I guess the Forge was a pretty big giveaway, and he's probably feeling a little concerned about what the intention is with that.
Yeah, and we see with the command center going down, making a pylon by the ramp. I think trying to bait this wall to go down. It's like, hey, get that, and look, the Zealot's going to be right up in here, so messing up the formation, but not going straight for the attack. Zealot takes a lot of free damage, going to be fighting off these SCVs.
Ooh, I like the SCV repair. The SCV repair, instead of attacking the Zealot, he just decides to repair the SCV, and yeah, it really doesn't lose anything. I think this pylon's going to go down for free, although the cannon is up, or is thrown down.
Yeah, this already gets really confusing here. You gotta know what you want to do to deal with it. So you just see the SCVs go down. Only 2 Marines alive. They do kill the 1 Zealot, but you can see that cannon already kind of getting a lot of progress. Factory in production, the barracks still trying to make some Marines at least, but still, this is just gonna be so annoying to deal with. Still more Zealots on the way. I don't know what I'm looking at.
He cancels the CC2, so he's really concerned. He throws down a second factory, so he's going up for 2 factories now.
I don't know how much if I mind that or not, because I mean, your opponent just thrown Zealot at you, big investment on these cans, so they can't have a Nexus, or they're like, he has an SCV still by the natural. He knows that there's no expansion going down. But if you just go down with these factories, kind of throw down into a bunch of vultures, maybe you're in a really good spot here. But both players are producing a lot of extra money they're having trouble spending. Actually, a 3rd factory going down. Cannon Rush is going to try to move up into the ramp here. Oh, the vultures would be nice if they're up, but there's not a lot of barracks and no bunker was made. So I think both players just doing something weird here. Terran trying to survive the best they can, pull some of the boys. We'll see if they can go through. Now they got a vulture out, should be a lot easier.
I actually didn't know you could throw cannons up on the high ground from a low ground pylon. That's actually something that, this is my first time ever seeing that, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not awesome. It's not as good as it was in like StarCraft 2, but you know, it's still definitely a thing. The pylons can be powered through the high ground advantage, no big deal. So, I mean, you look at this point here. Ooh, gonna be an opportunity here. Can they kill that pylon before the cannon goes up? It looks like they might.
Well, Josh is throwing down a cannon in, or not Josh, I'm sorry, the Protoss is throwing down a cannon in his base, and he's going up to Cyber Cortex, so I think for the most part the rush is over. He's just going to try to macro up and salvage what he can from his build.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at this though, this is like monstrous investment, right, from Protoss. All these cannons, all these pylons, delayed the gas mining for a significant amount of time. Cybercore, like you said, is on the way, so it's not even done. Versus a 3-factory Terran who, like, still can make barracks. I wonder if they're gonna go into anything. I would love to see tanks here, like, you know, start working on these tank upgrades. eBay on the way in their siege mode, so I think we are gonna
eBay block.
Hey, if they're gonna do nonsense to you, do it right back. I love it. There's a lot of Zealots, though. What's kind of micro are we going to get from the Zealot? Not enough to save the Vulture, so these Zealots do clear everything off. I mean, you go kill the eBay at the very least. If you're not going to move out, kill eBay.
They have no interest in that eBay. They just want to see it disappear on its own, and I guess they do decide to change their mind.
Cancel? Cancel? No, it actually gets killed.
Wow.
Reminder for CPL, the tier 3 is the lowest level of play that we have. These are your I want to learn StarCraft and having a good time, so you're going to see unorthodox builds, stuff that's not quite as refined, and opportunities like that where, you know, we think cancel, obviously, but you know what? You got to actually still do it. When things get a little crazy, it's a little hard to keep up sometimes. Siege mode's done. Going to start getting away at these cannons. That'll be the opportunity to go out and get the expansion, but the fact that Josh hasn't restarted the CC on the high ground to float it over, I'm thinking he's actually thinking a push. 3 factories are done. I see a bunch of tanks in production still, and like range is gonna be quite a long ways away, and their green count's not that great either. Nowhere near Citadel for speed, so I think if Josh actually builds up a decent little factory army here, we might be in for some shenanigans.
Well, I like Josh's idea to, you know, play really safe and make sure that he has a nice standing army so he can fight whatever Protoss can throw. But I'm a little concerned that if he plays too conservatively, he's just going to get outscaled when the Protoss eventually throws on his natural, which looks like he's poised to do.
Yeah, you figure it should be coming soon. We do see the Robo on the way, so if you're playing real safe, I think you're looking for something you know, maybe observers, you know, because mines are now available, even though we don't see them on the map so much. A couple vultures are going to move forward here, but look, that's still 4 tanks with siege mode. If he just
Yeah,
walks
and
up and gets in position, Sandstorm's going to be in a rough spot to get out of it.
he actually doesn't know about this push that's coming, so I think he's going to get set up on, and this might be really, really hard for him to break out of because his robotics is just now finishing, so he won't have a shuttle for a while.
We'll see. So all the tanks pretty far away at this point. Gonna try to engage on. Oh, that mine doing some good work here. Zelts do get on the tanks though. 3 vultures still alive. Should be able to help clean that up. And none of these tanks are... Oh, just barely one gets killed. I jinxed it, but still, so much Terror Force still alive at this point. Josh has really cut a lot of economy to keep this push going, but with the Proa still in one base as well, no important tech on the way. If they want to kind of keep moving forward, I think they have the opportunity. Shanskwan's even just letting them into the base here.
Well, I think he'll be safe with the cannon. Josh went ahead and threw down the CC, so he kind of knows that he has control of the map, and I'm sure he's feeling pretty comfortable.
Yeah, honestly, you could set up a devastating canteen down here, get a couple more vultures, mine up the bottom of the ramp, set up like a turret or two, and these tanks could just make everything a nightmare. Trying to get a big Protoss army down a ramp is already hard enough. We do see the observer finished, but still 3 tags here. Do Marines want to be extra bold, or are they waiting for reinforcements? We do see some vultures on the way.
I gotta tell you, pushing up ramps is like the hardest thing ever because it feels like whatever like little unit I have on the ramp to provide vision just immediately died, and then you have like a zealot flood that just comes and wipes everything down.
Oh, I mean, these tanks are in good position. High ground advantage still might be enough to help through, but all the Marines do get killed off. 1 tank down. The Vulture looks like he's not going to survive you, and the Zealots get right on top of the tank. So Josh overstepping the contain I was hoping for here, loses everything as a part of it. Sandspawne does reclaim their natural, has the opportunity to expand if they want to, but I see a Citadel, and Robotech's already done. Shuttle on the way. You know, you might just keep doubling down on nonsense. Maybe a DT drops in the near future.
I think that VT crop would be a pretty good choice. He actually doesn't have an academy. Josh doesn't have an academy or an eBay, so he's kind of sensitive to not having detection like whatsoever. But this engagement in the middle looks like it's just gonna wipe out the Protoss army. So back again, Terran has map control. He's gonna be able to potentially set up another contain on the natural of the Protoss.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, though, like Josh lost the opportunity to really contain. If he doesn't have forces to deal with, sure, he can walk up, you know, put the her on this Nexus, maybe get the cancel again, keep slowing things down. But you already have your own natural established. You got the CC up to 12 to take your next base if you want to. And Josh is trying their best to spend the money they have. Needs to catch up on workers a little bit. I wouldn't mind a little bit of restraint taken to the longer game, but Josh meets no resistance, rolls right up in here, and should be able to get the cancel on Nexus. But tanks are so close to the ridge. This is just not conservative positioning. You want to be further away, maybe more to the right, just make it hard to approach.
Yeah, and Josh didn't actually get to see the Templar Archive, so it is going to be DTs coming to rescue the Protoss. I guess as he gets pushed in, he actually loses a tank to his own tank splash damage. But Josh still doesn't have any detection, so I'm pretty worried that the DTs are just going to come out, kill this force by his natural, and then just start walking over to Josh's bases.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in this spot as Terran, you should feel like, I feel real safe. That's when you should start getting worried, right? It's like, he's on 1 base, right? He still hasn't left. It just killed another Nexus. Like, he knows I'm on 2. I'm feeling so good right now. What's the trick he's going to get back in the game with? We do see the eBay on the way, but that's still at least will shut down this ground force here. Unless those DTs die to these mines, needs to be careful. How's a shuttle available?
Well, I mean, he has the observer to see the mine, so I think he's aware that he just needs to clear the mines, and the tanks should be pretty free to kill. Although he does lose all his goons, so he's gonna be in a little bit of a tricky spot.
Yeah, we get the big unsiege tank. Or yeah, 1 tank goes down. The mine does do damage to a DT, but not enough to kill it. And hey, this is gonna at least repel the entire force here. Does Josh have time to get detection? Has the observer in natural, so just no turrets, no anything, no comm stats available. The eBay is done though, so we are seeing the move towards these turrets as fast as possible. I think they'll be up just in time, so these DTs can't do more. But still, Shannon gets more defense, and ooh, look, a Vulture got back in the main, trying to do a little bit more, gets a couple mines down.
Well, one of the nice things is that Josh was actually able to kill the natural, so as long as he holds whatever comes his way for like the next 3 minutes, he should be fine and just be able to power up from there.
Yeah, he got the mines up at the natural. Those 2 DTs did die, but we do see the shuttle moving out with a couple Zelts and 1 DT. Turrets are being made in the main, so won't just be free kills for everything. And Josh feeling comfortable. Like, you just killed a bunch of DTs. You feel like you killed all the ground force. Moving out again. No mobile detection still, so might meet the same fate. But if he just wants to keep trading units to sacrifice, not let that Nexus happen, maybe. I'm trying to figure out if that's actually worth it. I'm not entirely sure.
Well, I'm sure he's feeling like he's comfortable and that the Protoss is in a terrible spot. And so I think in his mind, he's wanting to just end the game immediately as fast as possible.
And there we go. He gets to contain, now has missile turrets. This is the key that he was missing before. The shuttle does move in, meets a missile turret, drops off the unit, so there is a DT. No forces are in the main, but Josh setting up that nice contain in the natural. Let's see what Shannon can get done. The turret that was by everything does die. Second one behind it, so the DT moves in detection range. No, that's just the Zealots. The DT's still at large. Should at least stop mining, but at least you got the second base you can retreat to.
Yeah, and that DT's already damaged, so he could put a mine and protect himself pretty easily. But I'm sure right now he's trying to focus on multiple fronts and make sure that his main push doesn't just get claimed by DTs.
It's going to be clean just by a lot of units at this point. Decent amount of Zealot, Dragoon, and DTs all go down. You can see them here, but there's just not enough force, especially with the lack of Vultures. These light units kind of getting into doing work. The Zealots do die quickly, but still, enough muscle, you get your way through. Siege tanks doing what they can, but they're not that strong. Like, they're good, but they're not that good. It looks like...
I like the choice to just target fire those turrets. Like, he really wanted to make sure those DTs weren't going to get hit by anything.
Well, I mean, he got in the main. He still saw the lack of a comm set. So if you kill the turrets, the DTs are all you need. So he just didn't quite have enough time to do it. Still clears everything out. Gets the opportunity to get the Nexus down again. So Josh has had their expansion for a while. They were significantly down workers, but do manage to get some up, including the little bit of losses from the DT drop. But honestly, like, this game is a lot more stable than you think it is. The supply is still reasonably even. Chance one about to get their expansion, and despite everything, they at least have reasonable tech, but their main is literally about to mine out. If they lose this natural again, one more time, there's nothing they can do at this point. So really have to focus on the defense and make sure they get themselves in a good position.
Well, here comes yet another push from Josh. He's really just wanting to seal the deal. And 3 tanks against 5 goons. I haven't had good experiences with that, but Josh is doing surprisingly a lot better than how my units usually do.
Well, remember, not everything from Josh was sieged up there, so it does kind of help out a little bit if the goons can get themselves in good position, kill that the siege tank as soon as they could. But Josh does buy time to get their third base up at the 12. Still has more units on the way. I like that he's not just sending in 4 units at a time. And if Shannon wants to take the fight against the high ground, I think you take that all day long. So, little opportunity here. Here comes the shuttle. Has some Zealots in it, but these tanks are not sieged. Still have some muscle. And all the goons do go down. What is the shuttle going to do? It needs to be here for defense. There's just 2 cans here. Siege tanks do not care.
Well, I think he's thinking that because all his army is down there, he has nothing at home. And to be honest, that's sort of true. He just has his bunker, but I think he's planning on dropping the Zealots to the right of the natural so that it doesn't take any fire from the bunker.
Yeah, the bunker doesn't even have that much stuff in it. It's actually going to go straight for the bunker, so... I mean, you do whatever you want to do at this point. The Zealots do help clean up some of the tanks as well, so chances are looking like they are stabilizing a little bit. Josh, constant pressure, but maybe overextending, losing their advantage. These Zealots that do get dropped, I think, do get cleaned up. The bunker doesn't even go down, so doing a little bit of damage here and there, but Josh still has that third base now completed, still has all their factories made, and Starport with an add-on on the way, so, maybe opportunity to go for drops themselves, or work towards getting some science vessels. Always a good value unit to get, especially as, I want to say late game. We're 17 minutes in, but where these players are at because they're concentrating, it's not the late game, not even a little bit.
I gotta tell you, Zealots are probably the scariest unit in the game because they just kill everything. And even though he still hasn't had his legs upgrades, he's still been trading really, really well.
Yeah, a Terran player would say they're the scariest in the game, right? Mr. I own vultures. Like, you literally can make vultures, and you're gonna complain about zealots. Get out of here.
Well, the mining dragging into the vultures. Ooh, these vultures actually sneak in too. I wonder how many they're gonna get, pro wise.
Oh, he managed to get some mines down. Those zealots are gonna take some big damage here. This only slow zealot defense is not working as great as you would like. Oh, what about that?
Ooh,
one
that mine.
What about that one mine though? Yes.
Ooh.
Oh, fantastic. Big damage done. Chance going down to 12 workers, but a zealot counterattack up at the 12. Josh just retreats the workers, lifts off. It's like, all right, I can go back to 2 base. You're on 1, and it's barely even a functioning 1 at this point. So, honestly, seeing it's pretty reasonable. Vultures will help clean this up pretty good, but Josh's moves seem to be a lot more effective than Shansquan. Maybe it's just a big part of it being the unit selection that is so many zealots that Terran army does eventually just keep getting better. Speed is finally finished up, but Josh is finally getting that supply lead they've been looking for, and the economy for Shansquan pretty much in tatters. It's not going to get any better. You can see 5 tanks finished up, still making more units back at home, and they got that science facility done, so, you know, D-Matrix or whatever you want to go for. Anything could really help as you keep putting pressure on.
Well, I mean, to speak to the strength of the Zealot, I mean, from the Terran's perspective, tanks are the strongest units you can make. Like, they end up being the backbone of your army, and so you never really want to stop producing them. And so, as I look at Josh's production, he has 2 add-ons, so I'm pretty sure those are the 2 dedicated tank factories.
Yeah, but like, you could not tell me with a straight face you think tanks are better than vultures. I will not accept that if you say it. You're a liar.
Vultures just get destroyed by Dragoons so fast, and whenever you invest that add-on, it's like, man, I really shouldn't build anything else but tanks.
I mean, sure, but you could just add on more factories. Josh has been on those 3 factories the entire game at this point, feels like. Finally adding on the 4th, so he'll have more capability to make other things.
Yeah, and he's playing defensive yet again, which is a good choice. I mean, he is ahead. He just has to, you know, continue to deny the Protoss from getting additional bases.
And I like what we just saw from Josh. Just scans on every other base. Like, did you sneak something? So he saw every other base, no expansion, so it's just the natural he needs to really worry about. Shansquan's got a decent little force of a lot of Zealots and DTs. They're going to go through the bottom path away from something that might run into some units, some mines, or anything like that. And we'll see. There aren't any minefields that help slow anything down here, and Josh has really turtled up. A lot of forces up at the 12, a lot at the natural as well, but no vultures. So, you know, these Zealots probably can just run on in, do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, I wonder what the choice, why the reasoning to go around the bottom was.
I think just don't want to run into an army on the way, looking more for the counterattack here. Now you go through, that detection gets killed almost immediately. Still has scans left available, so these DTs try and do what they can. There are some unsieged tanks to help out, and this force on the ground from Shansquan gets cleaned up very quickly. 1 DT still survives, but there is detection up at the 12.
DT with the dream gets annihilated immediately.
Yeah, and that's not going to be enough. Josh does survive all the counterattacks, manages to get game number 1, and exciting way to start off so far. Always a little bit, you know, tier 3. You never really know what you're looking for. I think both players, if they built units a little more like thinking, oh, this is what my opponent's making, I should make these. Might have been a lot more effective, but still very back and forth game to start us off.
Well, I mean, you see the tanks, and you're immediately thinking, just make the Zealots, and like the last army that the Protoss had was just pure Zealot. So kind of speaking to that mentality, hey, if he has this, let me just go this, and not always working 100% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, so, like, enough of the wrong thing will get the job done.
That is true. That is definitely true.
Alright, but we do see Josh taking that game number 1. We'll see how we go in game number 2 here on Fighting Spirit. In the top right in the red Protoss, it's Shansquan, currently down 1 game and fighting for his team's life right now.
Yes, and in the bottom we have Josh. Josh, who did an impressive series of pushes in the last game to really cripple the Protoss and basically solidify his advantage going into like the middle of the game. I want to say that was.
Yeah, sure. We can say that was the middle of the game. Always gets weird, but that's why you gotta always like think like one of the like for new players. I think it's a good thing to think about your game in like phases, not time. Because like a game like that, it's like, all right, I got 2 bases and like 4 gateways, and I got a robo. Like you could treat that like if you get there at 20 minutes, it's still the same as early in the game. You still have the same capability to make stuff. So does your opponent. It's not really different. So yeah, if you want to think about what you have available to you sometimes when things get a little chaotic to keep yourself on track.
In your opinion, at what point does Protoss reach the mid game or late game in TVP? Like what unit like really embodies that?
I'd say Arbiter, probably. You start making your first Arbiter, you're probably in the mid game at that point.
Yeah, I would agree too. I would say that Arbiters are probably like the point at which I would call any game like, oh, this is definitely a later game.
Yeah, like a late game for me is like you take that second main, just start adding on a million gateways. Like you're starting to near max, and you're like waiting for that fight. Like Arbiters, like you can make use of Arbiters before you're at 200, depending on how you want to play. Or if you got like Templars with Storm, maybe. Like you're really invested in your tech and kind of choosing the path you want to go.
I would say like Zealot Legs is probably like the definition of mid game, just because Gateway Man like really finds its strength after that one upgrade, because you really do have map control, because you can just kind of bully tanks around and you'll have your detection up to clear out mines.
Yeah, definitely an opportunity. Now Shan played a lot more standard this game. Cybercore after the gate and the gas, the way you would normally expect. No forge, no shenanigans. Now, there is the fact that he's getting last scout against his opponent, which Josh has barely sent out scout now, but you know what? Better lucky than good? No, not going up. He's going to be extra sad that he's going to get last scout going the other way this late on. But both players, nothing crazy. No gases expand, which might have been the plan from Josh in the first game with how late he took the gas, and then he felt his need to go into it. So it seems like no one's getting messed with early on, getting to do strategies they're intending to do. So hopefully things get a little cleaner in this game.
Well, Josh just pulled off of gas, and I was actually thinking he was going to go for a 2-factory play, but it looks like it is just going to be the 1-factory, so no serious early game pushes. He's building a 3rd Marine, so he might go for maybe a small little Marine tank push, but for the time being, it looks like it's going to be a pretty tame early game.
Always the option to go for an FD if you keep producing those Marines. You get that first tank out, and you just have enough muscle. It's very easy for Protoss to struggle defending against it, especially since we saw Shan. They weren't active on the map to see pushes coming, not trying to stall them with ranged Dragoons, and Shan actually went ranged before producing the first Dragoon. Definitely wants to get the upgrade as soon as possible. Usually, I don't feel like that's what you see. And Command Center on high ground again, so I think Josh just wants to play very safe, feels comfortable if they could just get through that early game without getting messed with, because you can see the blind commitment again on that ramp defense, working on the high ground CC instead of committing to the low ground and making it bunker.
I gotta tell you, people just gotta be scared of Zealots. Like, people always comment on how I wall my ramp, and this is exactly why. Like, I just hate dealing with early game Zealots, and so just getting that free wall just to prevent any shenanigans, it makes a whole difference in my macro.
Well, you can only prevent shenanigans for so long. Look at that bottom left. Citadel Badoon being proxied. Shenanigans are... I think Shan is that typical Protoss player. That one that's like, you talk about Protoss, this is the guy you mean. It's like, no, they're just going to fumble their way through things, do random stuff, and ooh, look at this. Actually, I was thinking, oh, maybe it's going to be DTs, but with 2 more gateways on the way in Citadel, this might be that Tim style build where you just go for a lot of speed lots.
He's not mining any gas.
Yeah.
He's not mining any gas at all, so it definitely looks like it's going to be more of a Zealot heavy army. And that SCV doesn't get to scout out anything, although he didn't see any natural, so I'm sure Josh maybe feels a little concerned about why the natural is so late.
Yeah, and honestly, you can see here Josh reacting the way you should. He's like, you don't have an expansion, you're really guarding your ramp, I don't know what's going on, I'm making an eBay. I'm not even dealing with this. But if this is Speed Zealot style that I was talking about, where you got these extra gateways undetected, gonna work on Zealot speed, and he just rolls up into your base, like a bunker, that turret, it ain't gonna do enough. Like, you're probably not gonna have the vulture count you need to deal with this. So this really might blindside Josh. Hopefully he scouts a little bit more, tries to get an idea of what's going on, or covers both bases at once.
Well, Josh did end up getting mines, so mines are actually going to probably help him out a lot more than the actual siege mode. I would like to start seeing him produce some vultures so he can actually lay down some mines. Yeah, but you can tell that he's just throwing down turrets just because he's really scared of DTs and maybe even a Reaver.
Yeah, like really respecting some of these options, but when you're playing in the dark, you only have so many choices to go for here. So this is why I would really like to see another scout. Go to that natural, see if there's still no nexus. Try to get a read on what army you see here, like, because at some point you will get an idea what's going on. We do see siege mode on the way now, and there's that first vulture in production. When you rush that the mine research, you figure you want to get a couple more vultures. That's at the very least you get on the map. You can mine up the third. You know, make sure it's hard to take that next space, get an idea what your opponent's doing. But all right, here comes the move
speed is done.
Yeah, here comes the move out from Sandstorm. A couple Dragoons. They have range already. Remember how fast he got in. Look at these other zealots out at the bottom left. Plenty available. Hasn't moved them out just yet. And as I say that, making me look stupid. Here they go. You're gonna get to that big bridge.
He's putting mines at the front, so this is definitely a good way to help bolster your defense. But Shantis, I mean, if he sends one zealot, he could just clear all those mines and start going to work on those tanks.
Yeah, let's see if he has the restraint to do that. Is it just going to be the one? No, he's sending in everything. So big damage taken, but nothing killed just yet. That bunker still has 4 Marines. These tanks are not sieged up, so trying to micro the best it can. Pulls the SCVs trying to help out, but the vultures are all dead at this point. The repair goes down the bunker. This is pretty big at this point. Only 3 of the zealots are left there, but the fight, they're not going for that. They're going in the main to try to get some counterattack damage done. These Dragoons are all going to die, unfortunately, so it's just going to be what counterattack damage can these zealots get done. And if you look at Shanson's worker count, he invested so much on this attack. That bunker barely stays alive. Josh is kind of scrambling just to survive at this point. If he can get through it, though, I think he's going to be in a good spot. Still has a massive worker lead, and the expansion's already online.
Yeah, Josh, I mean, he just needs to pump out units, really, and just help out this bunker. This bunker is really putting in that work to make sure that none of the Dragoons get in.
He's not mining at all. Like, there's no money coming in, so he, like, put out the units. With what money? He just could. So finally back to mining. We'll be able to eventually get these mines to go down, and
gets a Dragoon for it.
He's got this tank. You can try to clear this thing off. Gotta be careful. Don't overextend on your defense. Josh does hold on. Shansquan has plenty of money. They're gonna try to catch up, get that Nexus. I'm not sure, because he cuts workers so aggressively at this point. He's down to 22 probes with no harassment going down. I think it's gonna be hard to try to catch up later. Maybe a double down on something a little more aggressive might have been the move, but still, everything looking reasonably okay at this point. We'll see what it ends up being further on. But Josh survives and sits in a pretty good spot economically and should be able to recover and kind of increase their lead.
Yeah, he's even getting his +1, so he's definitely committing to playing a longer stretch game instead of something that's just going to end Shantis immediately.
I mean, I like that, though. That's the smart play, because you can be like, oh, I just killed out their army, they're probably weak. Well, their only strength is their ability to have this army, so if you attack and fail, you give away your advantage. You might as well set up for later. Your economy's better, get the upgrades, and you can move out at a later spot, because Shansquan, that Nexus, not even complete yet, so still going to be another low econ game, at least from the Protoss side.
I almost wonder if Shantis could have just gone another round of Zealots and tried going for another bus, because right now we only see tanks, and they're all in siege mode.
The SCV going out sees exactly what's being made. A lot of Dragoons, so you know these tanks are maybe the right choice here. I'm a little sad to not see tanks on that high ground ridge by that turret. That's like the most obnoxious thing about trying to break through against a Terran position like that. So a little surprised to not see that, but you know, do whatever you want to do. We are seeing more factories getting added on, so.
Yeah, even a supply depot at the front to really make a wall. So he's definitely just trying to make sure he doesn't die to this next threatening wave of units.
That seems pretty reasonable. Most of the Zealots go down before they can get on in. Dragoons trying to get in the best they can, but siege tanks are so strong at this point. The splash damage is too much here. Doesn't manage to even get much focus fire in. Maybe the pathing game gets confused by the buildings. Wiped out everything, and Josh unsees immediately. Now it's that counterattack we were talking about.
Yeah, dude, he's hitting the gas and just, I'm sure he's just A-moving across to the Protoss natural.
I would, yeah. Absolutely. You just kill all those zealots and a whole bunch of dragoons. Yeah, just do it. Just send the boys. Like, you're good to go.
He even got an SCV inside of his base too. I didn't even realize that. So he definitely knows that Protoss is lacking in a lot of stuff, or he thinks Protoss is lacking in a lot of production.
Yeah, the Vultures do get there first. Haven't laid down any mines yet, but ooh, here comes that siege. The mutants are going to try to go forward, but there's just too much Terran right here. So everything does get eliminated pretty much immediately. Now sitting outside, the pylons are the only defense you have here. The Vultures are going to go in the main. You can mine up the production. You're feeling extra good about this attack, but yeah, as Chasquan's saying, well played, good luck in the finals. So, I don't know when this match was played, but it is a little bit ironic for him to say that, because with Josh taking that win, that does actually give the 10th point to the Flying SCVs. That does secure them a slot in the finals. So, nice sporting of our opponents to congratulate that. Now, at this point here, it is confirmed it's going to be Destructoids versus the Flying SCVs as our grand final match. We still got more games to go. We would love for Chiefs Police, hold down the fort the best you can, see what you can do. But Flying SCVs, if they win a bunch more, and like your opponent barely got in 10-9, you just smashed your opponent to get in, that's a big confidence boost. So still things to play for at this point here, but no longer a slot in the finals, just for your honor. And you know what? Honestly, that's enough for most players in this league, I think.
Yeah, you gotta keep the practice and the competitiveness on, no matter what the situation is. I mean, I know I would honestly probably be a little discouraged knowing that my team kind of already lost. I think just being competitive and continuing.
Well, I mean, at the very least, you got to win your game, so that way you can be like, hey, it wasn't my fault. I did.
Yeah.
So looking at the teams asking who's next, you can see on the screen the matches we're doing. That is the order we're doing them in. So it's going to be Dada versus Champion when we get in, when the Unsort joins the game. There we go. Alright, so back on Eclipse, game number 2 of the evening. Like I said, it's all tier 3 for the whole thing. We got 5 sets heading your way, so hopefully everyone's having a good time. Remember, follow the channel if you like what we're doing. There's subscribe and Ko-fi, all things. As we're nearing the end of CPL 7, we can start thinking about CPL 8, which I don't have a date for you, but I'm sure we're doing one. It'll be a good time. Still hang around Discord. Lovely community that we've got here, but we got game 2 to talk about. In the top right, the red Protoss. It's Champion, representing the Flying SCVs.
And for the Cheese Police, we have Dada as our green Zerg.
Oh god, yellow versus green. No, I'm still top versus bottom all day. I'm not dealing with this. Not the Mountain Dew battle. I'm not even about that.
Mountain Dew battle. That's the first time I've heard that.
Alright, so PvZ on Eclipse. There's definitely, if there's gonna be one map, I think it's CPL pool. You're gonna see aggression early from the Zerg, knowing where your opponent's gonna be. And hold on, that's a pylon in the base. So speaking of aggression, a Champion looking like they want to do the good old in-base 2 gates. I did not update the casters. It's on the screen. You can see it. I don't know how to use Nightbot, guys. Come on, stop razzing me about this. Every time I see that command, I'm just like, why did we do this?
Yeah, that Overlord's not going to get to see the probe coming across, so this is really going to catch Dada just by surprise. Although he has a pool already, so he might be able to just deflect whatever is about to come in.
Well, honestly, like, even if you saw the probe, like, you would just maybe think it's Forge Expand. Because, like, you still scout really early with that anyway. So, it was a pylon scout, so the timing's not particularly off here. Coming on in, sees Overpool. So, I don't know if that's what Champion's looking for here. We'll see if he does start the second gate on time. Looking like he will be able to. So, like I said, 2 gate in base. If you, as a Zerg, are not good about managing how many links to make, or how defensive you need to be, whether you need a sunken or not, this build can easily run you over. Just because you don't see most people do it, most people opting for the wall and the expansion, doesn't mean it has no punch to it. It definitely does.
So if you're Protoss and you're looking at the Zerg space, what are you not looking for? Or what are you looking to not see?
You don't want to see static defense, and you want to get an idea how many lings are being made versus drones. So, like, if the probe was there and saw that first egg was a drone, you are loving life. This is exactly what you want to see right now. He will have the capability to make stuff, but with no drone scout, only Overlord scouts at the moment. Finally, a drone's going out, but it's going to be quite a while. It's actually looking like it's going towards third base. Playing completely in the dark, just hoping your opponent's not doing anything crazy. Only 2 lings were here. Does lose that probe, which that would have been really good to keep. The probe adding 1 extra hit does help Zealots kill lings 1 shot faster. So if you can keep a probe alive, it's exactly what you want. And you see a second probe really going out for Champion. Wants to figure something out. Going to start building the wall at the front, but still has plenty of capability here to make a bunch of Zealots and be aggressive. As we do see the 3rd hatchery going down. Gas is on the way, and we'll see if it's going to be a Lair or Hydra. Either way, though, Dada needs to get some real scouting info. And finally, these 2 lings will get to the opponent's base, and Overlord's going to finally see these gateways. Hasn't seen the wall yet, but at least should have an idea what's going on.
So with the 2-gate build, do you just want to rally your Zealots over to their base, or are you waiting to like build up a big mass and then go?
You want to, like, it's really style if you want to go for it or not. If you send them little by little, your opponent gets forced to make lings. You're hitting their economy by making them not make drones. But if your opponent is not making the defenses they need to, as we see right here, sending them out in a big wave probably wins you the game. So we do see the Forge going down. It is just these 2 lings here. Zealots do pop out, so the defense will be available, but these 4 Zealots did not get seen at all. The lings didn't see them move out, no Overlords in the path, so these 2 lings just see a lack of a nexus, and this should be like all the alarm bells, but Don's still just making drones and no static defense here. 4 Zealots
Yeah, he actually
I don't know how you defend.
just queued up another drone, so he's really not going to have anything to stop these Zealots as they come in. He does have a Hydra Den, so looks like he was going to go for something aggressive, but really doesn't have much.
Yeah, Snap to try to make some Sunkens here. Zealots can start working on those as much as they want. I would love to see them, at least one of them working on the drones. You could easily kill through 2 of these without an issue, but you can see, not going to let these defenses go down. Zealots still building up back at home as well, so whenever they want to reinforce, 6 groups of lings on the way. So this is what I was talking about, that you can force a big reaction here. But without the reinforcements, I think these Zealots might get cleaned up here. We'll see. Ooh, actually, a lot of these lings fighting without the big numbers behind it. Drone
and now
not
he's
helping much either.
He's streaming his Zealots across the map now, so he's really just looking to put on as much pressure as possible. He probably knows that Zuri's on his back foot and not going to be sending anything to attack him. And there we go, game 1.
You know what? Yeah, like, I know I'm trying to make jokes about you and your argument against Zealots. In this matchup, it's a lot more honest. Like to say that Zealots are quite strong, so I get it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I played Zerg a couple times with my Protoss buddies, and when I see that, I'm thinking, oh man, it's going to be a huge micro fight.
Yeah, well, it's just that was such a bad spot of not getting the scouting info you need. The Overlord. This is why the Overlord tends to go near the wall first, right? You want to at least see what your opponent's making. The Nexus time would be good, like any kind of stuff. Then you can move into the main later. Though the fact that he saw like literally none of the important info, didn't have the drone scout either.
He saw the 2 gates though. Like that was one of the first things he saw, and he was still making drones.
Yeah, but there's no seeing 2 gates. And seeing 2 gates with no wall, no nexus. And he never saw the actual lack of an expansion. So if you're just kind of playing off assumptions, it can really put you in a bad spot. But hey, that's the kind of build. It works on the clips because there's no chance that you don't find your opponent. So we'll see what happens in game number 2. In the top right, in the blue Zerg, it's Dada.
And in the bottom right, Champion playing Protoss. He's blue, so I guess he's red on the CPL cast right now.
Yo, you can change the top versus bottom too.
But then I wouldn't have gotten to see the beautiful magenta Protoss last game. Missing out on the beautiful spectrum of colors.
Well, these colors are good. You know, we can mix it up here. We'll put that Protoss on that nice little light blue. Sure, we can do that. We got that white Zerg as well. So these colors are good enough. And hey, Champion, I think he found the build he likes. Going for another in-base 2-gate. On a 4-player map, a lot less likely to get scouted. Hopefully Dada learned the lesson, goes for the drone scout this time, and Man, this guy just has all the luck. Is he going to go the right way? No, he has none of the luck, unfortunately. What a
Well,
bet.
neither does Zerg player. Oh man, his Overlord's going to be so late spotting those 2 gateways.
I actually don't mind this at all, that he's going through the middle scout. Not that you're expecting a proxy, but if you're just trying to write some things off real quick, knowing that it's not cross spawns makes you feel more confident in your build, and then you're just 1 scout away from at least knowing where your opponent is. So,
Well, let's talk to me more about the Overlord. The Overlord is just not going to get to see anything that's going on in Protost's base for a while, so...
yeah, unfortunately, it went the wrong direction. Won't get that info, and doesn't even get there fast enough to see that the probe saw the lack of the cross spawn. So we'll see. Does champion get lucky? No, it looks like they are going down. So will not scout their opponent, but 2 gateways still on the way at just the same. And it looks like we do got the overpool opening again. Dada wants to just go for the safety. About to put down a hatchery as well. So same kind of build so far. We'll see if there's any kind of adaptation. And ooh, champion actually does end up going to the top right. So we'll get that info about what he sees here. And we'll see if Dada is still as greedy as they were in game 1.
Ooh, that drone doing some good body blocking. Not sure if that was entirely intentional, but he does delay the probe scout a little bit.
Well, it also delays his scout a little bit too, which I think that might be a little more important for the Zerg at this point, trying to get the info you're looking for. It does still do a little bit of damage to the probe, might die a little quicker. We do see 2 lings again on the way, so Dada again being a little bit on the greedy side, not making... You usually see at least 4. That's enough to deal with that first zealot that comes out. The probe doing a lot better job staying alive this time. Gateways are producing. First zealot is done, and he is not sending it out just yet, waiting for a little bit of group instead. Scout does die, and Dada's got that 3rd hatchery on the way.
So I'm wondering if Dada just knows that kill probe, go den. I wonder if that's the mentality. And I wonder if we're going to see that again this game, because I knew that was his intention from the last game. He just didn't get to that point where he could just start pumping Hydras.
Yeah, it was a little bit unfortunate you can't get to that, but I have no sympathy for a 3-hatch Hydra player. It's very robust. It's a good strategy. It's the same thing that we're seeing from the Protoss, and oh, this drone is barely gonna miss seeing the Zealot move out, I think. I didn't get an eye on the vision. I think it might have been very close.
Yeah, the Overlord didn't get to see it either, so it looks like it is going to be just a blind crash into. Although he is making 3 sets of Zerglings, so maybe he is sniffing it out.
Yeah, but still gonna be hard. Ooh, making the creep colony up to natural, definitely in more of a defense. So Dada not being caught up as guard this time. A couple lanes up the front are gonna get caught up in the fight. Reinforcements come, but still 3 zealots pretty strong at this point. They could fight this amount of lanes, and especially that's the concave favor the zealots a little bit here. Sunken's about to complete. Is he gonna be able to kill it here? No. It is gonna repel the pressure. Champion not running into the main, and Dada at least survives for another day. But look, more reinforcements moving across the map. It's gonna be up to 5 with a probe.
Zerg hasn't mined any gas yet, so I wonder what his game plan is, I guess, beyond trying to survive this initial attack. He only decides to attack with 2 zealots. Maybe that was just a missed rally, but loses 1 for free, so maybe not going to have as strong of a push later on. Surely he knows that there's just going to be more zealots reinforcing, so throwing down another creep colony. So he's definitely committed to just making sure he doesn't die to this push.
Yeah, I think one of the big things you're looking for right now is just make sure he can't run by and go up your ramp. Because these creep colonies are very good at helping defend your natural, but if he gets up that ramp, or if he looks for that 3rd base, which you would assume would be at the 3, that's the easy to defend 3rd base. You see them moving up towards the 12 though. Unfortunately not going to find anything, but that 3rd base is undefended for the Zerg. If Champion finds it, that's going to be a lot of big damage. We do see a Forge and a Nexus are either done or on the way here. Cybercore and finally mining some gas as well, so Champion is transitioning into the normal game. We'll see what their tech choice is, and the Zerglings do move out for a counterattack, but doesn't that raise the question, where the hell are the Zealots?
Yeah, and I think he's feeling really, really good with those 3 Sunkens. He's even actually throwing down a Sunken at his 3rd base, and he needs to start morphing that into a Sunken before the Zealots crash into his base. Although the Zealots were a little bit indecisive, saw him turn around for a second, but they're going to go ahead and run up here and start going away. Going to work on this hatchery.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to get here. Legs are still on the map, so should be able to reinforce reasonably soon. One Sunken's about halfway done, the other one's still creep colony. We'll see what the Zealots want to focus. We got some of them fighting the Lings, and 2 of them try to work on the Sunken. It does spawn, loses the 100 health before doing so, and immediately gets killed off. And so Lings are dead as well, and this is now 4 basically like fresh Zealots going to work on this hatchery. They're ignoring that Sunken for now. I'm not sure how much I like that decision. Reinforcements are going to go through. They turned their attention here, but taking some damage they didn't need to.
Yeah, I think with these additional 4 Zealots, his third base is going to go down. Looking at the tech from Zerg, he did decide to go Hydras again, so... Does 3-hatch Hydra work off 2 bases? Like, is that something that can be done, or is he really going to have a miracle happen as far as saving this third base?
It can be done, but it's not as strong. That's why I like the usual build here is that 973. The third base has 3 on it, so it's just a less efficient mining if you have them all as natural. But as long as you still have the production, that's really more you're looking for. So losing the hatchery itself is probably more of the problem than actually losing the third base. You can see a hatchery going down at the front of the natural instead. Zealots do their job, put the opponent behind a lot, on a reasonably decent drone count at this point. Stargate is finished, but hasn't worked on that first Corsair, and you can see Citadel and actually a cannon, but we know there's no lair even like started yet at this point. So the cannon and the base, just to be careful, is a little overly cautious, but you know what? That's completely fine.
And you know, I really respect Dada for just throwing down this hatchery. I mean, he knows that he was going to lose his production, so he went ahead and just said, let me just throw down another hatchery, and that's really going to help him as he tries to pump out these Hydras. But he is pumping out Lings, so maybe he's concerned about getting an even bigger wave crash on his natural. But his natural seems pretty solid with those 5 Sunkens.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I would say I don't like about the hatchery, like, you need the production, sure. But if this was in a spot that, while you're attacking the hatchery, the Sunkens in the back could help, I think it's just a little too far away, so you won't get the reinforcements, just the 2 at the front. But Dada's still adding on a lot of units, should be in a comfortable spot here. And Dada is, you know, they're working towards that lair. We'll see if the tech choice ends up being. Still no Corsair. Oh, there's the first one moving out, going to go for the scout, which that's good info. If you get there and see that the lair's not even done, that's probably an easy indication to take your third base, which Champion's already doing ahead of time down there at the 6 o'clock.
Yeah, and I like the Zerg's choice to go ahead and spread out the Overlords to scout the map, but I'm a little concerned that this Corsair is just going to go to town and get so many free kills.
Well, go to town's a very relative word. 1 Corsair doesn't kill Overlords that fast. You need the reinforcements to go with it, which, fine. Working on some more here. There's still the one in the main, but Templar Archives on the way. Should be able to get towards Storm reasonably soon.
He's even going for an evolution chamber, so I think he's going to turn that creep colony above it into a spore colony. Just maybe have his Overlords hug it. Corsair is not going to find these extra Overlords, which is a little disappointing. It's a lot of free potential kills, but I mean, I'm sure he's just powering back at home, just trying to get his macro going.
Yeah, finds another one in the main at least, which is not too bad at all. They can find these other Overlords. There's just 4 pinatas of food ready to kill on the map, so if you find them, you're feeling real good right now. We do see Dada. He gets to lair tech, immediately goes straight to Lurker. Like, no Mutalisk, no nothing. Which I feel like if you want to take that gamble, not so bad. Good against the anti-ground force. Mostly Zealots is going to struggle versus that. And we do see Champion, not even a Robo just yet. So Zerg Army is getting stronger. Does have a supply block to deal with right now, but that's a lot of Zealots here. And plus
yeah,
one
plus
weapons
one's about to finish.
Yeah, exactly. Plus 1 is very close to finishing.
Yeah, I think this is probably a good choice by Dada to go ahead and go for Lurkers. I mean, that's going to help him survive this +1 attack when it does come out. Although from the Protoss side, I don't think you even need to attack because you know that the Zerg is pinned on 2 bases.
Yeah, you don't want to attack, but you're Protoss. You made the swings out. You're gonna attack. Like, you don't need to, but you're gonna. You're not a Protoss player if you could resist that urge. Like, you shouldn't here. And I would love to see that he was being more conservative. These Corsairs still looking for more Overlord kills, and the Lings are going to attack for him. You know what? We'll come to you. I know you want to have a fight here. He does bite a couple Zealots away from the group, but they are still +1, so still quite strong. Immediately working on +2. And we see 9 Lurkers here. I think those Zealots might have went far enough to actually see them morphing. We'll see if it ends up being a quick robo at some point here, but 6 o'clock base is now online. The Overlord going to fly to the group of Zealots, reveal the position so the Corsairs find it pretty much immediately. Doing a great job hunting as much as they can. And Storm is now on the way as well, so splash damage will be available, but still just all Zealots in this army, which is... It gets harder and harder to fight the more there are. It's like a bit ridiculous, but Lurkers will definitely help.
Yeah, and I don't know that Protoss actually saw those Lurkers, so he's going to get blindsided if he tries to commit to this attack. But again, he's probably thinking to himself that, hey, I don't need to attack.
Oh, I love this move. You feel like you've killed enough Overlords, just make it around DTs. Like, I've killed so many Overlords. They're not by your army. You're trying to keep them safe back at home, so the DTs could easily be a real good answer to help out here. That worker count for a champion does keep slowly growing, but looks like stalling out around 40. I would like to see some more workers getting added on here, but that supply lead, though, keeps growing for sure. Up to about 50 more supply than their opponent at this point. That does got some nice tech with the Queens that's now finishing. Hasn't started Hive just yet. That'd be a nice touch a little bit later on. Although, like, I guess, what do you get it for? You get it for...
Defiler, maybe.
I guess, but with no Dragoons out in the army just yet, like, that feels like you're a step ahead of the game, because I don't think we've seen Dragoon range yet. So I think we were literally just fighting melee units, and oh, a couple Overlords find this army. The Corsairs just are screaming towards these Overlords. This is awful.
Does Protoss know about the Lurkers, actually? I feel like he doesn't. I mean, he's throwing down the Robo now, so probably going to switch into... No, I bet you that Robo's just to get those DT shuttle ferried into the main base.
Well, they know about the Lurkers now for sure. Step forward, see a couple spines, immediately turns around. You can just keep controlling that third base, though, force Dada to move out a little less safely to try and do anything. And you can see they're not even trying to cross that bridge, so... We do see Dragoon range now, so it is reacting to the threat of the Lurkers, and Protoss taking a fourth base. This is not how this matchup goes, where the Protoss is like rapidly expanding the Zerg, but Champion's in a position to do it, so just keep throwing them down. Who cares?
I wonder what Dada's long game plan is going to be. He's getting Hydra range now, so he's definitely sticking to those ranged units and making them stronger. Hasn't decided to get any upgrades yet, so it's a little slow, and he's not going to have the damage output to really bust through these armies as the game goes on.
Yeah, definitely feeling behind the guy at this point, especially since his Protoss armor just keeps getting stronger. Storm's been done for quite a while, but now actually adding in the High Templars. A couple lanes do try to get out. They're trying to scout what's going on, so one I think is going to hit that 6 o'clock, find a cannon, and not be thrilled to see what they're seeing here. Another Overlord dies to the pack of Corsairs, just that keeps moving around the map, being completely obnoxious. But looking like they are going to retreat down to that lower left base. Fourth Nexus is complete now, and we are seeing the high tech be the adrenaline glands, which with no upgrades, these elves are going to just tear through that. Not a problem at all. I think they're at +2 right now, so even if you had upgrades, you're still pretty far away. And a Defiler Den on the way.
Ooh, and the Sunken's even killing one of their brethren, I guess, to help with the gas mining. A lot of the drones were having to go around.
Oh no, well, hopefully he fixes that, because now he's got a whole bunch of drones mining from that gas. Yeah, honestly, this is just one of those spots you look at, and I don't even have like constructive advice like, oh, this is what you clearly do here. It's like, what you should have done is not let it get to the spot. Like, this is already kind of out of control. Champion, at least, he's not controlling the wide bridge. He's really putting a lot of emphasis on third, but if you moved out a drone right now to the 12, it would go completely unseen. So I think maybe trying to take a risk like that, sneak out through the main, or he's going to wait for consume. Maybe that'll be the trick you're hoping for. Corsairs still being quite active, making sure that stuff like what I just suggested can't fly around here. So I like seeing that here. Cannon's going to go down at 6 o'clock and make sure that Ling doesn't get killed off here. And Dada, I think at some point you're going to have to take the jump, but Protoss is nearing max. Like, this doesn't get easier.
Yeah, Champion's map control has been pretty good. I mean, he's covering both attacking routes, although I guess he loses control of the center. But I'm sure he does know about it, because his Corsairs were just driving around and probably saw those Lings zip by.
Unfortunately, they are high-tech Lings now, so There's a couple cannons here for defense. I don't think it's going to be enough, but Champion has the Observer going up at the front.
Ooh, huge Hydra Storm.
Yeah, big storms going through here. The reinforcements on the left is still where most lurkers are. Dada being very careful, doesn't want to go through. Those links at the bottom left do kill all of the kill everything, so we're gonna be able to clean up the Nexus, shut down at least one of the bases, get some ground back. Does uproot everything and go across that middle bridge, so that side from all those zealots from the right could go in for the big fight. Great Storm still doing big damage here. Lurkers are not burrowed to help out, and reinforcements come up at the front, so Champion not fighting with a full army. These DTs don't have any protection to deal with either. And, I don't know. Dada's trying the best they can, but there's only so much you can do.
I felt like those DTs would have died anyways, whether there was detection or not, because of the splash damage from the spines. They were just targeting those zealots and just melting those DTs.
You're not wrong about that. Still a lot of reinforcements. I think Champions consolidates what they have. They should know how many lurkers they killed, and I think they still have their Observer. Yes, they still have the Observer alive, so it will be an option to keep being aggressive here. Dada, you're inching towards those zealots on the right side, and 3 shots going through. So whatever damage you can get, I guess. But more storms going down, more lurkers killed, and you can see that supply gap. Champion's army is significantly stronger than Dada's at this point.
Yeah, even still harassing Overlords, not even respecting the Hydras that are down below. And I'm sure as he sees what's left of the Zerg army, he's probably wondering if he should just hit go and just crash into this Zerg space. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's sending the right zealots too, all the way up to the natural. I don't see an Observer, so his zealots are probably just going to get shot up by those lurkers.
Well, there's not enough lurkers anymore. You can just ignore all that stuff. The zealots do get through. They're going to work on the Sunketeers. One Observer still alive, going to move forward. No Hydras to shoot it down out of the air. So as long as it doesn't get caught in a storm, you're still pretty good. There's more zealots than Zerg everything right now in that natural base. Of course, there's even going to come in and just clear out the detection. The Filer's here, but it doesn't do anything by itself, unfortunately. I don't think Plague got even researched to kind of help out. This Protoss army, look at this just onslaught up at the front here. I think if you just had a pack of lurkers to magically appear, it still wouldn't be enough to kind of fix the problems you're running through at this point. Zealots clear out the natural, moving up towards the name. One lurker egg is going to try to delay it as much as there's time as you can do, but I don't think that's going to be enough.
Spying him sometime. I mean, eventually it will fall, and he even puts down the Dark Swarm to really make sure that Protoss can't get up. So he's really just trying to wall off his main and pump as many Zerglings as possible. I just don't think that any amount of Zerglings is going to save him right now.
Especially since they're behind on upgrades. So I think they're still zero. No, they got one on attack, but still no armor. So these miles of zealots, just wall-to-wall zealots, still too strong here. Dada does finally tap out here. Champion takes a clean 2-0, and that gets us another point for the Flying SCVs. So they weren't going to barely sneak their way into the finals. They're doing a great job so far, and we'll see if they can keep growing that lead, or is Coach-Pupil going to get at least a couple more back on the board and make this a little more respectable of a match.
That macro from Champion was really, really good. I mean, he had 10 gates and he was pumping full time. I mean, getting maxed well in advance of the Zerg.
Yeah, I can't say anything about that. The 2-gate opening, like I was saying, there's definitely ways to beat it. There's a reason it's not like the standard, but it's still very strong, especially if you kind of struggle with dealing with it. And you can see Dada there, just I don't think really familiar. One of the things you could do for sure is, a lot of Lings are pretty aggressive against that. Just a little bit of static defeat to kind of like the static D will help out. Like if we saw 5 Sunkens, that is a giant investment of drones and minerals that cannot attack further. So you feel pretty good about seeing that. We go into our third set of the night though, with one of our casters. We're going back to top versus bottom. Those colors are silly. I'm not dealing with that. And the top right, in the red Terran, it's Nightcap.
And in the bottom left, as our blue Zerg, we have El Pinguino.
That's a fun name. I was like, I'll give it to you. I will see if you throw a little flair on it.
El Pinguin?
I don't know. My fallback excuse is always I am white and American. I just say what I want to say. Nightcat in the chat. We'll see if they're talking up a lot or if they're just gonna not say a word as we go through it. But TVZ, the classic matchup. We'll see what we get here. Back on the Clips. I think I've mentioned it before, but there's definitely opportunities for Zerg to be aggressive. But you see a lot of 2-hatch Muta, usually, some amount of 2-hatch Lurker. There's just a lot of 2-hatch play in general. I think you just don't want to put the pressure on. Don't let Terran get complete control of everything.
I mean, it's hard because I know that taking a third base is pretty difficult for Zerg. They do have the advantage that a lot of the main expansions have a singular ramp, so it makes it easy to defend with lurkers. But a lot of Zergs are opting to go crazy Zerg, especially on this map, I find. So I wonder if he'll decide to go for that strategy.
Yeah, I mean, I like that strategy personally. If I was playing Zerg, I think I'd be doing that because I'm just bad with the pilers. It's like Ultralisk are so fun.
Well, I would say it's like a pretty like beginner-friendly strategy because you really just kind of turtle up behind your Sunkens and you just feel defended against any Marines that come across. And most Terrans are probably subscribing to the idea that you don't really need tanks. You just go SK Terran and just rely on your vessels to kind of deal with everything.
Well, speaking of very beginner-friendly strategies for the Terran, we are getting no SK Terran. Look how fast our refinery is. It's Goliaths, right? It's gotta be Goliaths.
I'm pretty sure it's Goliaths, yeah. I mean, the other alternative could be like an early Vulture drop, but more than likely it's going to be Goliaths. And I'm curious...
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm curious if El Pinguino is going to decide to go for Mutas or Lurkers this game, just because, again, how wide the map is, and as he scouts the main base of Terran, if he's going to decide to maybe just skip the Mutas because he's going air and just go straight Hydra.
Yeah, well, I think a big thing as well is that if you get an idea that is this kind of mech build, Lurkers definitely lose their value. You're not one-shotting a million bio. And with the factory on the way, with all the guys pulled out of the gas, and we're not getting the 1-1-1, we're not getting a Vulture drop. We are getting, I think, the normal kind of Goliath build with that first Vulture just to check, make sure there is a Sunken. And Nightcat does get some good information, seeing that is a 3-hatchery build, still no gas tank.
Yeah, and 3-hatch, I feel a lot more comfortable for our Terran because you don't have those Mutas hit as fast, and so you can kind of skip on making turrets, and that just makes your Goliath count just even that much stronger.
Oh, losing that first Overlord to 3 Marines, that is a brutal, like this early in the game, you cannot afford to do that. And you can see you have to make 3 Overlords on the way, and the Overlord dies just before it sees the CC get started, but we got some links moving across. It's just 5 versus 3 Marines. I'm not actually sure who wins that straight up.
I'm pretty sure the Lings win that pretty single-handedly. He is throwing out a bunker. That won't finish if he decides to move right now. But it might be a little bit too late. The Vulture's already out, so that's just going to multiply whatever force Nightcat has to defend his natural.
Yeah, which, I mean, that does also beg the question why Nightcat hasn't moved out yet. Finally does move out with the Vultures right as the lanes show up a little bit, so good helpful defense. Vulture takes a little bit of damage, but does reveal that there is the Vulture. We'll see if that Sun gets put down immediately. It does, but it's kind of far away from the ramp. Maybe you can risk running through. It's where the Vulture taking that 20 damage might actually be pretty big. Clears out a lot of Lings, and Nightcat doesn't want to keep pressing forward. We don't see a lair started just yet, but still, 3 hatchery production. You can get that drone count really flying up at this point. And here's that first Vulture. Oh, so it's not done. Tries to make another creep colony. Kill that drone. Get in the main. Come on.
Oh, wow. He actually lands all 3 shots. I swear, whenever I do those kind of plays, my Vulture just misses every shot, and I'm sad.
Now,
Ooh, gets the Vulture.
It takes too much damage. Vulture at 5 health does not survive too much longer, but does give Terran the cushion they need to get that CC up and running. Second factory on the way. No armory start. No, there is the armory start right there, and it's working on armor instead of weapons. I feel like I always ask all the Terran players, but what do you feel about armor versus the weapons for the first thing out of the armory?
Definitely armor. Armor. It's mainly has to do with the Muta Glaive bounce. It just reduces the damage by so much because it's 3 bounces, so your armor reduces 3 points of damage if you want to think about it that way, and it just improves the ability.
This is why I'd never know, because doesn't on a Goliath the weapon increase yours by +4? So you're reducing 3 or gaining 4.
Right, but Midas only take half damage from Goliath because it's explosive, so you're really only getting +1. And so, somebody's done the math, but
Okay.
whenever you get the armor first, it definitely helps you win more fights than the weapons.
Completely fair enough for me. If you said someone did the math, that's all I need to hear. I'll trust you all the way. Now, we do see the lair is done, and Hydra is done as well. No research towards the lurkers just yet, and El is actually banking up a lot of money right now, so I'm a little bit concerned. We do see, finally, there it goes, lurker aspect on the way. I feel like this could be more drones, maybe take a third hatchery instead. But Nightcat, they're starting to make those Goliaths. The armory halfway done at this point, and adding on more factories behind it, so we'll see what ends up happening. I like that it is siege mode here. I think if you got some information that you haven't seen any mutas left, you feel pretty comfortable just going into tanks siege mode. Real good against these Hydra lurker kind of forces.
Yeah, and El Pinguino just now putting his 3 drones in gas at the natural a little bit late, so it's going to definitely hurt his lurker transition. He's deciding to get the 3rd base, which is a really good move because he has map control right now. But he's got to be concerned about what Terran's next move is going to be now that he knows about those Hydras.
Yeah, I got a comment as well, because it's one of those things you don't really look at too much, but El Pinguino never saturated the natural when he took the 12 hatch. He had a lot of drones in the main, but very few in comparison at the natural, just very now getting that fixed instead. So I think things could have been a little more streamlined, but hey, the shape of everything so far looks pretty good. Getting those bases, getting the core ground armor you're looking for here. And Nightcat's still really focused on Goliath production, but now has one machine shop, can start working on these tanks as well. And with one link scouting, make sure that 12 o'clock base isn't taking it. Maybe you're feeling pretty good here as El Pinguino that you got through this early game generally unharassed.
Yeah, Nightcat's just kind of pumping up his factory count, going up to 5 factories. Has only 1 shop, so it's definitely feeling the gas starvation of 2 bays. But he's definitely just, pumping out his Goliaths because he's scared of mutas just sneaking up on him. And he's probably going to try to move out, I guess, when his +1 finishes.
Well, it does just finish here, the +1 armor. I think I was feeling a move out as well, because we didn't see scans going down from Nightcat once the comset's finished to get scouting info. So I thought you're saving them for the move out that covers you against the lurkers, but we haven't seen that be the case either as well. Zerg 3rd base does finish up, but not saturated just yet. 7 drones on the way though, so Pinguino taking advantage of the window Nightcat's giving them to kind of get everything set up. And eBay is getting complete as well, so maybe when the turrets are finished, that'll be your sign that you feel comfortable enough to move out.
Yeah, I think he's just kind of scared about a backstab. He does have a good bunker that's going to help him against any Ling floods, although he will need to repair. But I think he's just going to wait for the turrets to go up before he takes any action out on the map. No starport yet, so he's going to be quite a while before he gets any kind of mobile detection. He's going to be relying on those scans, so just continuing to bank energy on those scanners.
Yeah, I mean, honestly though, with the fact that they haven't used any just yet, it's a lot of scans to work through. I think you can fight lurkers pretty effectively. You see the first turrets going up and around, so we'll see if that's going to trigger the move out. 5 factories of production is available, and Nightcat doing a great job so far spending the money they have. 47 workers and still reasonably well low on their things. They're not queuing up units to get there. Like, doing a great job making this army. Just when do they want to move out on the map, get some kind of pressure? As you can see, it's already starting to really back up to the point where there's just pathing issues with these Goliaths. They don't know where to go.
Yeah, the rally. El Pinguino is actually doing a pretty good job as well. He has a pretty big Hydra force mixed in with Lings and Lurkers. He's deciding to get +1 range, so he's definitely investing in those Hydras a lot more than those Lings. Still hasn't started armor though. I wonder if just now starting it.
Yeah, we're starting to see the first scans as Nightcat does move out. 2 Scouter Lings do get killed, and El Pinguino is going for the move to get their next base up at that 10 o'clock base over on the side. Has a big army out on the field, but the Lurkers are not with it. It's just the Hydras and a couple Lings, so we'll see. Nightcat is basically, you scouted one thing, very diligent with the scans, not walking into any kind of lurker trap, because you haven't seen mutas at this point, you have to assume it is lurkers instead. At least this isn't bio, they don't just instantly explode if you make one bad step, but very diligent so far, doing a great job macroing anyway as they continue here. How many scans are they down to now? 2 at the natural and 2 in the main, so still plenty to go through. And keeps walking all the way to natural unopposed.
Yeah, El Pingüino a little bit out of position. I think he was just kind of screening or making sure that no vultures were going to get to his third base, but right now he's giving a free opportunity for Terran to set up. And immediately you just see those Goliaths just shred through everything.
Yeah, the siege was a little bit late here. You can see the Hydras trying to move in, try to bait things out.
Oh, the lurkers.
Not burrowed, unfortunately, and these Goliaths doing so much damage here. Not far enough away from these siege tanks, and everything taking big damage here. And El Pingüino's army melts instantly. All the tanks still alive along with some of the Goliaths. And Nightcat sees how much damage has been done. The reinforcements come through, and El Pingüino is just going to tap out immediately. Well-executed attack from Nightcat. And honestly, from both sides, impressive builds for what we're seeing in Tier 3.
Yeah, Nightcat actually, his timing was really good because he hit as soon as that +1 attack finished. So really showing his, I guess, game sense and strategy, just making sure that, hey, my +1 finishes, go time. And as you see, that's the effectiveness of those upgrade timings.
Absolutely, but also, like, it was just the 2 lings that spotted the move out, and there wasn't really a strong reaction to get in a good defensive position from the Zerg. I think they were trusting that they had the flank for enough, but mech armies are pretty strong. You think you can flank through, and all you gotta do is mix execute a little bit or have just slightly less than you needed, and you get washed. That fight doesn't even go close here. But we are into that second game. We are on that fighting spirit again in the top right. In the blue Zerg, it's El Pingüino.
And in the bottom left, we have Nightcat, our red Terran.
Okay, so, alright, so far today, all we've seen is 2-0s. Nightcat, well, both players' builds look strong, but Nightcat look to be very comfortable with what they're doing. If you're El Pingüino, you have to just assume they're going mech build again. They executed it well, it won with no opposition. Why would you assume anything different? What would you want to see the Zerg do here to mix things up, get them in a better position if it is against that mech build again?
I think as Zerg should just go mutas. Fighting Spirit is a big map, and one of the things you can abuse against mech is just kind of going anything with high mobility, because there's just so many directions, especially in cross spawns, that you can take to, I guess, get around the mech army. And so speaking to, you know, Nightcat going mech again, I mean, this is a 4-player map, so mech is just not going to have that kind of mobility to really punish any third bases by Zerg as easily as, you know, bio would.
Yeah, but I mean, there's always opportunity for drops if you go mech, if you want to be something a little more mobile. Little harassment forces with the vultures can do some great work as well. And with it being a 4-player map, you are less vulnerable to big early game aggression as well. So you know you're going to get to that mech spot, the thing you're really looking for here. We'll see what that refinery timing is, though, if we do get another one. Barracks in the base, nothing unusual, and looks like El Pingüino again going for the hatchery first, so both players so far sticking to their guns, and there is that refinery.
So it's going to be Goliath build once again. So I don't actually know how good Goliath build is on Fighting Spirit compared to Eclipse. I mean, again, like, one of the biggest concerns that I have with my Goliath moveouts is that I tend to get surrounded by flanks. And I mean, I think that's what El Pingüino was going for in that last game. But in that case, he probably should have had some Hydras on that high ground as the tanks were crossing over from that high to low to high.
Well, I think another big thing about that was because you saw Nightcat was being very conservative, they didn't move out aggressively, but they kind of rode off mutas. They had a lot of tanks. I think a lot more than you're used to seeing with the Goliath build, especially early on. So that might have been that extra muscle that's like, even with the surround, he really didn't care. Alright.
Well, I think the lurker positioning, like maybe on that high ground again, that was that the Terran had to walk through, that probably could have helped him survive a little bit longer. Because again, lurkers on the high ground are, you know, you have that miss chance, and then if they're burrowed, I think they take even a little bit. I'm not sure if they take reduced damage from splash, But there's some interaction that makes them a lot more durable than they tend to be just, normal ground to normal ground.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I don't know. We are seeing 3 hatchery again. It is cross spawn, so I think as long as your scouting is good, that gives El Penguino a little bit more time to react with any kind of defense. If you need to make some sunk-ins or an extra route of production off your larva, I think you can play maybe a little more reactively here. Drone tries to walk in, sees 3 Marines covering the ramp, so not going to get the info if it is a Goliath build or not, but still, like I said, with how well it worked in the first game, you'd assume it is. Like, feel pretty comfortable, and we're still not seeing that sunken just yet. That would be the big thing you're looking for. Marines moving out and a couple Lings moving forward, so that could have been a free kill, but Lings say they want to go get some scouting info, but they stop outside the bridge for reasons unknown.
Nightcat actually has no SCVs on gas right now, so that's a little surprising. I know that most people tend to keep 1. He's going to go ahead and put the 3 back on gas. But we have a small engagement at the natural. Just going to push those Lings away with that vulture.
Oh no! Look at the Zerg main. That gas is not being mined. You set them just a little bit too early. Finally notices, but I hope that doesn't mess up the timings too much here. Nightcat does have their CC on the way. That vulture is out and revealed, and we do see the sunken being made to react and be ready for it. Nightcat armory is on the way as well, so we're getting a very similar kind of game to what we were seeing before. You mentioned that you're not used to people pulling everything out of the gas. I actually see that pretty commonly with the Goliath build. I think you really want to get that CC up as far as possible, and then because the army is so gas light when it's just Goliaths off a small amount of production, you don't even care about like not kind of building up a little bit of a bank.
Interesting. Alrighty. Nightcat showing me something new, something that I might incorporate into my strategies. I tend to just pull off all my guys off gas whenever I overmine gas, but Nightcat showing me something new, something that I can incorporate, and honestly seems like a pretty valid reason.
Yeah, the keeping 1 in, I think you're thinking more like Protoss, where it's like you're not worried about Goliaths, you're worried about tanks that cost more. And you still have like there's upgrades you really want to kind of get flowing early. So having the 1 guy staying there, not quite as critical to get the CC up before Zerg has a chance to break. I think that's maybe more of what you're thinking, but honestly I think both are reasonably valid. It's just what you're really trying to do a little bit later on. And Nightcat is really just trying to make Goliaths again. We got that second factory finish, and the production has begun. It looks like from El Penguino, we are getting the same thing. They're about to finish, and that Hydra Den on the way. I like that they're far enough away that if you scan to scout, you're probably going to miss. So we'll see what it ends up being.
That was interesting too, because he actually started the layer well in advance before the Hydra Den, so it is going to be a lurker rush. But at first second, I thought it was going to be mutas, and these positions, I mean, the Terran's natural is actually in one of the weaker orientations for building turrets, so mutas could be a pretty great choice. Looking at the Terran's natural, he actually walled himself completely in, so I don't think his Goliaths can get out.
Yeah, they'll kill a building later when they have to. I don't think it's a problem. But I think a part of that is if you know you're playing against a Goliath build, doing Muse against it can be a strong answer, but it's also maybe a little fragile, especially if you're not super confident with your muta control. And it might be like one of those kind of things where it's like, are you a 2-fact player? Do you like going like arbiters or carriers? Like maybe there's some with that with Zerg as well, where it's like, are you a muta guy or are you a lurker guy? Where it's just like, this is what I'm going to do. I don't care what I'm doing it into.
Yeah, I can definitely see that as a choice. Actually, Zerg is going for double evolution chamber again this game, so it's definitely going to invest heavily into getting his ranged army super buff and super ready for battle.
I mean, it makes sense to me. I have no problems with it. Now, El Penguino, the drone balance between the bases looking a lot better this game. Takes the 12 o'clock base instead of the 3. I think the 3 might have been more easily defendable, but we'll see if that ends up being kind of the way you want to go for here or not. Has lurkers being made on the ramp, so at least has a little defense ready. And Nightcat back at home, still 3 factory production, not adding on anything just yet, but +1 armor is about to finish up, and so here's the academy on the way as well. So I got a big feeling we're going to see something very similar to what we saw last game. Let the scans really bank up. Don't worry about the scouting and just push out when you're ready to move. Maybe on that 1-1, just like we saw before.
Yeah, and actually, he has two turrets in his main base for Nightcat, so he's definitely kind of in the dark as to what Zerg is doing. But he did see those Hydras, I guess, when he tried to run in with his Vultures, so probably has a good idea of, going maybe tank heavy this game than, pumping out more Goliaths.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what it ends up being. Nightcat pointing out their super slickness that they started Charm Boosters and canceled for Siege Mode when they saw the lack of mutas. That is a good reaction. It is acknowledged. Good job. I don't know. Do you ever do that kind of stuff? I know I do that with like I'll make zealots and be like, oh, I'm not gonna get anything done. I'll cancel it. But upgrades, I usually tend to just let them rock because it's gonna be useful later anyway.
I tend to cancel my boosters for Goliaths as soon as I see Hydras, because I feel like I always end up really gas starved to try to make tanks.
No, that's completely fair.
And again, we see in the Terran space, his rallies getting really cluttered with units, and his tank and Goliath are just kind of dancing around the perimeter of the cliff, trying to get down.
Yeah, El Penguino wants to put a little bit of pressure on it. Moving out with a nice little Hydra force, and I guess not. I don't know. I was like, oh, maybe they're going to morph lurkers on location outside the bridge and just be really annoying, but turns out that I don't think that is the case here. Pellegrino got that third base up and online, adding on some drones and keeping up the Hydra production as well as their upgrades are now on the way. It looks like the +1 armor is finished, but no rush to get the +1 weapons to go along with it here. So we'll see if that gets fixed reasonably soon. And as I started saying it, it got fixed because that's how this crap works every time.
I'm actually enjoying El Pinguino's vision a lot better this game. He does have the Ling just kind of scouting the bridge. He has the Overlords checking the cliffs and for any potential drops. He does have his army back, which is a little bit of a, not optimal, I would say. I mean, he could really just have his army sitting outside of the bridge in an arc, kind of like how Protoss does in Eclipse, and just kind of slow down any Terran pushes as they try to make their way across the map. But Zerg's upgrades are almost finished, so he's going to be in a pretty good position to fight this first push from Terran. He is pumping 3 drones right now, but he is adding additional hatcheries, so he's definitely getting into a comfortable position where he can just kind of flood Hydras to fight this Terran army.
Yeah, we see hatcheries on the way, like you're saying, and Aspire being added onto the natural, so late transition. Nightcat, again, very responsible, decides this is time to move out. Doesn't have the +1 finish nearly as much as we saw last time, but still, slow scans, slowly kind of bleeding out into the map, and we got a decent amount of production back at home. Still 3 factories that have been pretty much working the entire time. So we'll see what it ends up being. If Nightcat really wants to go for the throat, ooh, they find an Overlord. That's at least something. Oh, they're going to be able to kill, maybe?
Yeah, and El Pinguino is deciding to move to the left, when I think he should be moving closer to his third base, because that's where the Terran is probably thinking his third base is. So we're gonna see.
Well, like, I wouldn't want to do that though. Like, if there's nothing at the 3 o'clock, let them position to it. Like, what's the point of defending something you have nothing there to defend with? I think positioning where he is now, if there is that fight on the bridge where you already have lurkers in position where your rallies are going to be in, he's in a great flank position right now. So. And this is not going to get caught, as you're saying. If Nightcat thinks there's something at the 3, that's the path they're going to take. So I kind of like what we see from El Penguino, actually.
I guess I'm just like a little concerned about his vision, although he is losing an Overlord, so that's going to tell him where the army is. It just seems like his setup could maybe be a little bit further advanced, so he slows down the positioning of the tanks, because the tanks are going to pretty much hit the bridge right now.
Are you going to be able to get the good engage? Tanks do siege up. Scans are plenty available. A couple of Overlords have been killed, but you saw how many units are over on that left side. And look, here comes that big flank. There's a wall of Goliaths between them and the tanks, so big damage could happen. Lurkers do burrow. Big retreat from Nightcat. Going to try to move back, but still, the tanks do great work. They're really not getting harassed or messed with at all here. Trying to move forward the best they can. Scans keep going down. Keep the vision on those lurkers the best you can. And help against army just is not enough to power through this, and he's gonna tap out immediately again. Man, mech army's strong. Like, this is why I'm like, if you play Terran in Tier 3, play this build. it's so easy to mess up the defense against. And you can see as Nightcake gets an effective another win, and that adds another point for the Flying SCVs. We're starting to really grow that lead and looking like they're ready for the Grand Finals.
I gotta say, out of all the builds that I struggle to fight with that Zerg has, I think the Mass Muta with +1 armor against Mass Goliath is probably the one I struggle with the most, just because having that big flock of mutas just makes it so difficult to move your Goliaths around, which already have pretty bad pathing.
Yeah, that's what I see. The two things I like seeing against that build is like I like the big muta play, like invest in your upgrades, 2 control groups really invested. The other one I like seeing is kind of like you're playing it like you're playing Protoss, where you get like 4 bases, a lot of drones, and you just slam a lot of units. Like you get up to like 40, 50 drones real quick. So I like both styles. I think just lurkers in general against mech armies, it's not the same punch that you see against bio. So.
Well, I think the lurkers can do good against slowing down the Goliath push, but yeah, it honestly does come down to having a bigger army that can really muscle against Terran's army. Because the upgrades were good, it was just the units, he just needed more of them.
Well, we're on our next set here. It's another TVZ. In the top right, in the blue Zerg, it's Dead Lupin, which I believe is Dead Sirius, which is someone else too. I don't know. It's Dead something. I know they're rotating aliases like an animal.
And in the bottom left, we have HM3 Yer. I like that ending, Yer.
I'm going with H. Meyer.
H. Meyer? Oh yeah.
Well, you can say whatever you want. You know, maybe it's just that real big Pokemon fan. HM3 is the best one.
HM3, what is that? Surf?
Surf, yeah.
So, I wonder if this guy knows about the Goliath build. Big question.
Well, we are seeing the Terran H. Meyer is actually on the Cheese Police this time, so if they're encouraging the tier 3 Terrans over the Flying SCVs, it's like, yo, just do the Goliath build. It's so good. Wouldn't be on that same team practice, so I don't know, maybe. I think a lot of Terrans just want to play Bio, though. Like, it feels more like Terran. It's fun to play. Like, you get vessels and a radiate. Like, it all feels real cool. Goliath build is, it's the Goliath build. It's whatever.
Well, I think the biggest pain point for most Terrans that play is as soon as you hit ultras, because you weren't able to crack any Zerg bases, it just feels really bad when your army just doesn't do any damage to their big ultralisk units. And so I can understand, maybe some players that have gotten to that point in the game, they just decide, hey, I need some muscle, and so they just say, hey, mech's the way to go. And honestly, the fact that Brood War limits you to selecting only 12 units kind of encourages using more, I would say, units strength by individual units, because it's a lot easier to control instead of having to have multiple control groups of different unit types.
So we are seeing an interesting build from the Zerg, which I've seen this a couple times now. He got the 12 hatchery, and then he got the gas before the pool. This lets you get your lair and your link speed up as fast as humanly possible. It gives you a nice little bank that you can spend on the mutas and keep moving forward. So I'm expecting to see 2 hatch lair out of our Zerg player here. And we are getting the bio opening. No refinery be taken right away. Drone does die. Try to tickle some of the SCVs. Did 25 damage and then died for its troubles, which it's not ideal. It's not really what you're looking for, but hey, you're sending a message. You're not scared. You're going to fight these freaking guys in Gundams mining rocks.
And talking about sending a message, that SCV that got damaged is just kind of sitting around taking a break, saying he's earned his time off for getting hit by that drone. Another battle between a drone and a SCV in the Zerg's base, decides to micro away, and good choice, because I believe the drone would have lost that.
If you got the moving shot micro, you win everything. But yeah, straight up is not the fight you want to take. The SCV does stay around long enough to see the lair timing, so very big important info here. And look how fast that CC is. Right on the low ground, no bunker, no nothing. Just like, yo, it's fine. It just throws it down.
Yeah, I gotta be scared of Ling Floods, but as of right now, it doesn't seem like the Zerg has any intention to do a Ling Flood. The SCV's just kind of chilling at the natural, about to get picked off by 2 Lings. Decides to run away though, so thankfully that SCV is gonna get to live a little bit longer, and just as I say that, he goes down.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's completely fine. No big deal. Second barracks on the way. Still no gas taken. So, you know, you're going to have to eventually get those. You want to get that academy, get those armor upgrades. But Marine production has been pretty steady so far for Meyer over here. You know, I think everything's looking pretty reasonable. As long as he knows what he's dealing with, starts that refinery. But, you know, Lair does finish. We expect to see the Spire on the way very shortly here once he gets the 200 minerals to do it. And, you know, we're going to get something a lot more typical you see on this match. 2 Hatch Muta versus probably 2 Rax Academy.
And with the Rax CC Rax, I would actually like to see HMI or just kind of go for a 8 Marine push across the map. I mean, Zerg hasn't built anything besides these 4 Lings, and so you can usually punish Zergs that are just pumping drones pretty easily. And just sniping down at least, you know, three or 4 drones, that can really put you in a nice lead.
Can't say I'm thrilled with how the Zerg's build has panned out, because, like I was saying, he took the gas before the pool. I believe the intention of that is to get your Ling speed and your lair very quickly, but he kept like pounding drones out, so his lair was finished for a while, and then he started the Ling speed and then the Spire, so really delaying everything a little bit. And imagine if he just went for the Spire the moment he could have. HMR still hasn't started an eBay. Like, this could have been massive damage, and honestly, it still has the opportunity to be, but I feel like this is kind of a little bit of optimization, really cutting into the effectiveness of the potential build.
Yeah, and his academy is just now finishing and going ahead and getting stim. He's definitely going to have the tech to fight off those mutas when they come. A little bit considering that he doesn't have an eBay, he definitely has the cash to do it now. But maybe he's just going to go for a big push with his 11 Marines and hopefully try to keep the mutas back at the Zerg's base. But the Zerg already has 2 Sunkens, so really he kind of can't do anything with these Marines anymore. So it is going to have to be a big muta defense, and without turrets, like you mentioned, it's going to be pretty difficult controlling 2 areas.
Yeah, you see a third creep colony being added, so really making sure they're ready if there's some kind of move out. The medics are about to finish up soon, and well, that's what I want to see. Dead Lupin's actually going for the carapace upgrade on the muta, so more of an investment in these, not just going like for I made 6 and let's see what they can do. Big stim move out does kill that scout. Ling reveals it, but going for speed as much as they can. Mutas are going to pop though, and like I said, there are 3 Sunkets at this point. And adding on more here, so Dead Lupin trying to react, see if they can buy the time they need here. Yeah, adding on a lot of static defense. There's not that many mutas though. It's going to be hard to work with this. And, ooh, I hope that's a mistake that gets caught. He's going for Overlord sight range by accident. Yeah, that gets immediately canceled. Good job. Stims forward, kills an Overlord, and well ahead of the medics at this point. Does see how much static defense is here, and H. Lupin hasn't started a 3rd hatchery either, so it's not like you can go to 12 and punish that here. H. Meyer, they moved out, they got control of the map, but what do you do with it?
Yeah, I think actually moving out with your Marines and medics is a little bit of a mistake, because you don't really need to have your Marines out at the front of the Zerg's natural. I mean, he should be looking for the 3rd base, but there's no 3rd base to be found, so he's kind of in a pickle. He is getting his tech up, so he's not going to, you know, pigeonhole himself into this one strategy, but a little bit of an overreaction from the Zerg. I think he would have been fine with just the 3 Sunkens.
Okay, better safe than sorry here, but I'm just looking at how the defense of the anti-air is just barely here now. Trying to play around with the Marine force in the middle with these mutas. Still only has 8 available. Keeps adding on more though. Big commitment on these mutas. He wants to really lean into it instead of taking the next base and moving towards the next step. But he's going to be running out of time here. Starport halfway done. Once it radiates on the field, this strategy becomes a lot harder to manage. So we will see.
Yeah, and I think right now he's in a pretty safe position. He can actually probably move his mutas across the map and try to see what he can get done with them. I don't think mutas are going to add too much to help out these Sunkens. I mean, these Sunkens can just fight off those Marines on their own. That Marine force is not that big, in all honesty.
Yeah, no, I think you could be aggressive here, but if you want to keep stuff at home, maybe you're a little scared of what could end up happening, or I think this is kind of more what we're looking for. Deadloop and taking the 12 o'clock hatchery, so maybe you want to keep your defense. H-Meyer is reinforcing more stuff across the map here. +1 weapons is still pretty far away for this Bioforce, and he is going to just try to take the fight straight up. Reinforcements show up just in time, but still lost a decent amount of that force. Loses a couple meters for the trouble, but still has at least a control group worth, and you know, you can feel pretty comfortable with that.
Even bringing an SCV over here, two SCVs over here with his Bio Ball, so maybe he's planning on setting up some bunkers to really bolster a contain. Unfortunately, that Marine did miss the third base. The third base just now at 50% completion. So, just waiting to see what Terran's next move is going to be. It looks like he is going for science vessels. At the same time, the Zerg is going for his hive tech. So definitely getting into the later stages of the game, just trying to set up whatever their next strategy is going to be.
Is now feeling pretty aggressive. They got the +1 armor finished, so but still only 10 moved out here to buy the natural. Decent amount of turrets, but they are staggered a little bit. I think you can work on it if you want to be a little bit aggressive. Still right by the rallies, gotta be very careful here. We'll see how this attack goes. He's going in, find a little pocket, taking a lot of turret damage. I think they get one swipe off, so maybe he killed one SCV, and they're just gonna back right off because they're not gonna get anything done against that much anti-air. They could have done so much more earlier. If that Spire was on time like the way you would want, if they moved out immediately trusting their static defense to cover them, I think these moves could have done a lot more, but now at this point it's just a little unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, we can take a look at HM3 years macro right now. It's kind of insane. I mean, he's kept his money really low, and his Bio Ball at home and Bio Ball over at the Zerg base has been pretty big, so he's keeping on top of things as he, puts on the pressure and defends. At the same time, though, Zerg is kind of in a pickle. He needs to take out the siege tank so he can slow down the push into his Sunkens. Loses a lot of meters for it and loses all his lings, but he does just buy himself a little bit more time before the next tank arrives. And as we can see in the Terran base, the two tanks are kind of trying to struggle finding their way out of the ramp.
Every unit's dumb. It's not just Goliath and Dragoons. Every unit's dumb in this game. Myers trying to sit a lot more stuff across. I don't know how I feel about stimming to move across the map if you're waiting on the tanks anyway. But you know what? It is what it is. More stack defense being added off of Deadloop, and he's now working on Consume, Adrenaline upgrades. Working towards those Ultralists where he's got the armor nearly completed. The upgrades on both sides a bit on the slow side, so I think Ultras could be a reasonable choice here if that is where you want to go. It's kind of skipping lurkers entirely, but we haven't seen a lot more muse being added on. I think it's just been sitting at like about a group worth and is not going further than that. I can't believe we still haven't seen a scan of 12 and any pressure in that direction. There's no defense. This is like the miracle, like just don't find it base. It's not even...
No kidding. I mean, this Marine I think was intended to go look for this third base, but Zerg is definitely going to have a nice set of gas to work with, although he is choosing to go Defilers and Ultras, so he might find himself a little gas starved between the two techs.
Yeah, well, as long as he abandons on Mutos here, he's trying to go for the damage on these tanks, and one's pretty low, still hasn't gotten the kill yet. These Mutos taking big damage every time they're going for a swipe. He's down to 7 now, and some of them pretty bruised. Still one tank alive, and you can see the bio is still quite healthy here. Good for the defense. Tank sieged up, keeps laying waste to the front of the group. We'll see. Ultras are now in production, though. +1 armor for the ground is done. Chitinous plating nearing completion. Not sure if it'll be done exactly on time to get this fight, but still, you're buying a lot of time forcing one tank to kind of muscle through everything.
Are Ultras able to fit out of this natural? I mean, I feel like that spacing between the ramp and the first Sunken's a little tight, and the AI from the Ultras are going to have a hard time getting out.
They'll fit if you believe. That's all you got to do.
I think to touch on the current contain, those tanks are really going to cause issues for those Ultras. I mean, Ultras really are effective against pure bio forces, but those two tanks are probably gonna make a world of a difference as far as holding off these ultras as they come out.
Well, kindness play is done. Here comes 4. The tanks, like you said, is going to go do big damage here. Bu's going to come in and try and help as well. One tank does go down. 5 meters still alive, and Live Force gets torn apart quite quickly. Siege tanks, but they're in melee range. Nothing's going on. The only survivors are medics, and they're not going to survive much long either. Dead Lupin does manage to bust out. H-Meyer loses a lot on that attack, and the ultras showing why a lot of people like going for him now these days.
Yeah, this crazy Zerg strategy is turning out to be pretty effective, and this third base is still uncontested, so he's definitely just going to be feeling pretty good as his economy just remains pretty much unscathed, and he's just going to continue to pump out these units.
I kind of like what we see here at this third base for the Terran. He didn't go towards the 9. There's one Ling there. He's like, I'm not revealing this. Whatever. He just completely doesn't care. But he goes over to the third base with 3 SCVs and 4 SCVs to make some bunkers immediately. He's making another racks. He's really getting himself in a good spot. And now we got vessels in play. We do have the option to start radiating things. Still trying to move muscle forward without any tanks though. Like, how are the upgrades for the bio? They're still on +1 weapons, so they're not like ahead. They're not going to really mow through these ultralists the way you'd want to. Although Dead Lupin's not continuing with the carapace upgrade. So when +2 happens, H-Mire's going to be in a much better spot against the strategy. But what if the plan is to transition to using these defilers a lot more? We haven't really seen that yet, but Consume is done for sure.
And there's actually a little bit of a hiccup at the Terran's natural. He lifted his CC, and it looks like he's having a little bit of a difficulty landing it because of all the SCVs walking through beneath the CC. Hate when that happens. Hopefully he gets it fixed pretty soon. Lings finally cleaned up the Marine that was harassing that 4th base, and Zerg now pumping out defilers, so he's looking to just power up his army and maybe go for an attack with Dark Swarm.
That could be an option. We see some speed ultras moving across the map, frolicking free in the distance, and looks like they are going to go up to this top side. The bunkers are made, but there's nothing in them. One Marine does spawn. Can you get there and save it in time, or just a scouting mission for these ultras? They're not going to attack the defensive space. They said, you're not worth my time, and just walk up.
Yeah, I mean, took no damage. Like, why even bother? Sure, he didn't even get a notification for the damage his ultra took.
Oh god, B-Bay in chat, make roach and win. Oh, if you could make roaches in this game, this game would be broken immediately. Oh god, no.
So right now, Terran actually has decided to stop tank production. Looks like it's just going to be SK, with those vessels and those 5 rags. Pretty good choice, but it's definitely going to suffer as soon as these defilers come into play and as these ultras get their armor up. Zerg finally decided to start his +2 armor, so it is eventually going to start to scale. But Terran's going to have a little bit of an advantage with his +2 attack to put on a little extra damage on those ultras.
That upgrade is not a little extra. That's significant. If you are ahead against those ultras, they are almost paper. For how much they cost, you can really mow through. But like we were saying, defilers are still an option. Plague is about halfway done, so that could be the move. You're going to plague on in and go for the big break here. The bunkers are made. A lot of Marines are available, but not in the bunkers. And a big force with a lot of science vessels. Here comes the attack over at that left side. Let's see if H-Meyer reacts to it. It's a decent amount of ultras, some links as well. There's the defilers doing what they can. Dark Storm's going down, so the Marines do nothing. Immediately lifts the CC, gonna evacuate the SCVs, and accept that this is not what you're looking for, but goes for the counterattack at the 11 o'clock instead.
Yeah, and I'm a little worried for HM3 Meyer because his Marines are medicless right now. Okay, here come the medics. But I think the Zerg army can just run back and clear this army just on its own. So if, Dead Lupin decides to just move everything and start attacking these Marines, he could be in quite a bit of trouble.
Well, I would agree with you. Remember that upgrade advantage. Like this, you can see how much weaker these things are here. The vessels didn't radiate as fast as I was thinking they would, so it does look like the force does get cleaned up. It's not a big bio investment, so not too big, but I think these ultras took enough damage. The raids might make them pop. They have to be very low health. The CC taking all the damage it can from what 2 meters can do. About halfway now. Make a queen. Go for the gold.
Yeah, HM Meyer went ahead and added another barrack, so he's trying to really grow his force yet again. He's working on his +3, which is almost done, so working on his upgrades in a pretty efficient fashion. Zerg is down to 3 bases, but he has plenty of minerals to work with right now. I see he's throwing down 2 additional hatcheries, so looks like he's just trying to power up and just really solidify his map control so he can just start taking bases behind it.
Yeah, it'd be nice if the Zerg at the third base of 12 does not have 3 drones mining gas, unfortunately. I think somebody might have got harassed and never replaced. But I'm actually surprised we haven't seen Deadloopin put any attempt on the bottom left corner. That's usually where you see Zerg expand to. That one single ram makes things a lot easier and gives you opportunities for counterattack or reinforcing like further defense. He's really just working on making ultras the best you can, which when you have a limited gas income, there's only so many you could do. A lot of drones being moved over back to the 11. If they're moving ahead of time and just hoping this hatchery finishes, I feel like that's quite bold, but H. Meyer not in a position to punish it at least.
Yeah, and actually I'm starting to wonder if HM Meyer knows about this 12 o'clock base. I think he just scanned it now. Oh no, he still does not know about this base, so he's definitely playing in the dark. He probably knows that the 4th base is trying to go up again, but there are quite a bit of ultras, 11 to be exact, so whenever this engagement happens, he's got to be prepared because this +2 armor just finished for Zerg.
Yeah, I don't know. +3 is finished, so he's still up 1 unit worth, and there's a lot of bio stims going down. The ultras have no support here. You see a couple of them explode almost immediately. Gonna have to retreat here. Some arrays going down as well. Still, it's a lot of bio for H. Meyer. Kind of get pulled apart a little bit, but still, so much DPS being cranked out of these stim marines. Ultra is just not getting their value, immediately getting killed off without any support. They're not doing what you want. But at least that CC trying to
going into the links.
Yeah, not what you want to do. Okay, stay away from your army, man. Don't do it. Oh my god, I see the legs against like 4 health. It's some kind of pathing thing. Oh, that's too funny. Little Brood War stuff, you know, sometimes things happen. So Terran tried to move the CC back to that 10 o'clock base. Immediately has to pull away, and Deadloopin is going for the top left as well. Really wants to crank up that gas income. That's the only thing they're really trying to focus on right now, but they have a lot of money banked up. It will eventually run out. I think you gotta increase that drone count a little bit, and like kind of prepare for the future, because this game's still looking like it's gonna last quite a long time.
I'm actually a little disappointed to not see the Defiler's used as much as he could be using them. I mean, in that first engagement on the 3rd base of the Terran, he actually was able to clear it with that Dark Swarm. And I think another Dark Swarm here, as he engages this army, would just multiply and really solidify his advantage. But, you know, Defiler's a little bit of a difficult unit to use. They are slower than the rest of the Zerg units, so maybe just kind of forgetting to move him along with his army.
I mean, the big thing is, like, Dark Swarm's nice, like, obviously. But even if he was just using it for Plague, like, Plague on a bio army is great, destroy that medic energy, or you Plague the Vessel Cloud, and then you just make, like, 2 mutas, and they destroy everything. Like,
oh, for sure.
You can really get some good value out of these. Plague's been researched for a while. I don't think I've seen him cast 1 single time. But, you know what, if you can keep the Terran base under control, we do see the CC... They're just ignoring the 1 Ling that is killing so many things at that clock base. It's been there the whole time, he just landed it anyway. That's unbelievable how much value he got out of that. So still, lots of ultras on the field, reasonably healthy, but Deadloopin's gas income, like we've been saying, just so low at this point. He took the top left base, hasn't made the second extractor, not mining from it at all. I feel like that could be a move. Trying to push their way through. Dark Swarms, so many Dark Swarms. That's not what you want to do. that is opaque. That cloud is so dark. There's no way through.
He wanted to make sure that his ultras had hacks and couldn't get irradiated because they were invisible to the science vessels.
I mean, maybe. I can't tell if there's anything under that cloud. It is so dark. It is unbelievable, but it does deny Base again, CC gonna keep lifting. I think that CC takes like 200 damage every time like it tries to land somewhere. And it's just slowly like losing all of its health. Raider goes down. Bio is gonna try to fight George's middle map. I do believe they don't have the Vax armor. What the? Where's that level 3 Carabase? We're 23 minutes into the game.
It looks like it's not gonna matter. These ultras are just like really decimating this Terran force. And you know, Terran, he mined out his natural, so he really just has this like half of a base mining. He does have a lot banked up though, so he will have that to rely on for a while. But yeah, it just seems like right now the clock's ticking on Terran to really make a move and try to take his third base.
This is killing me, that top left base that's been finished forever, like literally in no utilization. We are seeing some Scourge being made though, which if you can kill some vessels, that's fantastic. But if you're starved for gas, Scourge are a hard sell. And you can see trying to go through. Ooh, Bio only killed 2 of them, so that's 1 vessel kill. Not so bad to trade for 4 Scourge. If you just keep whittling away these radiates, those are kind of the values, especially against defilers though. And finally, we do see some mining of the gas up at the top left, so I think this econ for Dead Lupin gonna get a little more balanced out, as he's still just making ultras, and neither player has got above 100 for you. Like, this just been, I got kind of a force attack constantly.
Well, Dead Looping can just make a bunch of lings, I think, right now. I mean, he has the larva to do it, and that would definitely help him keep this base alive that's about to get attacked. But he's probably saving his money because he just wants to make more ultras. I mean, ultras just seem to be the key to victory for him in all the previous engagements. So he's like, more ultras, more dunk. So I think he's just waiting to bank up some gas so he can just keep pumping ultras. But lings right now would definitely help him kill this army and just make sure that he doesn't lose any more bases.
Yeah, they would be good, especially with these defilers. Like, defiler ling is great against these little tiny hit squats. You see a big, we glitched ultra on the ramp, trying to get his way through. So the force doesn't get cleaned up, but not before the hatchery goes down. And still, neither player has made no attempt to go to the bottom right. Those bases have just had 5 links scouting them and an overlord. No attempts to take those, which, if you haven't seen a unit there for like 20 minutes, you figure, like, I'll take it. What? Like, isn't that like your indication that those links have been there for the last like 10 minutes and have not even had to attack anything?
Yeah, it's just an afterthought. Terran is actually out of money. His mine base just mined out, so he has no income. He has 138 minerals. So what he has now is what he's going to get until he decides to land his third, and I think he's a little scared about what Zerg has as far as counterattack potential.
Yeah, we'll see what the move is. He's got a lot of bio behind this though, so still a pretty strong force if he wants to go for something. He did scan around, still no idea about the 12. That would be a great attack. This undefended base has been just getting survived for 15 minutes. Why can't this happen to me? The defiler is trying to sneak his way. Will it reveal? Well, it gets irradiated, it doesn't go to 12. And is this finally the indication?
Oh,
no,
he
to the
walks
11.
past it.
Ultra's going to work their way into the battle here. High ground advantage going to make it a little bit harder to work with. Lots of irradiates available, but not being used just yet. Finally, a couple, right as things go down. Dark Swarm's doing the best they can, but they're not right on top of the army. Still, these Ultras are robust enough to power their way through that bio army. And H-Meyer, again, loses their force. These vessels doing a great job getting tons of value, but at some point, it's not going to be enough. And look, he sends SCVs. If you're sending SCVs, just land that 9 o'clock base and start mining. What am I looking at here?
He actually did land that base, so I'm not sure what this SCV move was. Maybe just a Hail Mary, but ends up leaving the game. Really good game from both sides. I mean, they held on for a while. It's just, you know, eventually somebody's going to fizzle out when they struggle to take their additional expansions.
Yeah, I think there is the part where you always got to think about is like, all right, I'm in the late game. What's the next step? Because everyone like knows, like, all right, I want to get my natural. Here's my third. It's like, well, what about your fourth and your fifth? It's like you got to keep fighting to try to get these extra resources, or at least deny them from your opponent. Which, I mean, he was trying his best to deny the resources, but he easily could have just taken that army, secured his own third for like 30 seconds, and then go back to killing bases. Like, just a little bit more focus on your own production, get your own army stronger, and I think Meyer would have been a great spot, which makes, the next game, I'm excited to see it, because hopefully, lessons learned, better macro map, we'll see what these players do. As we enter Game 2 on Fighting Spirit, in the top left, in the red Terran, it's H. Meyer.
And in the bottom right, we have a blue Zerg, Dead Lupin. So speaking of late game goals, let's talk about Terran unit comps. I mean, in your opinion, what do you think is like the ultimate Terran late game unit?
Late game unit? Science vessels. Very clearly science vessels. They're flying and they get kills with energy. If you don't kill them, they just grow in value. Absolutely. Any late game energy unit is probably the best unit.
See, I guess from my perspective, it's like you're always trying to rush those units, to get them out in the mid game, and so they don't feel like late game units, and they don't feel like, a unit that can help tip fights in big engagements, like as we saw with Zerg. It seems like the Irradiate just kind of works as an aura to buff the ultras half the time.
Right, but it's like, imagine if you had those Radiates, right? And you were using them like 30 seconds before your attack just to soften, just to force the Zerg to move, or it's like 300 free damage on everything. He just wasn't using it the way that would be good to use it. Or like, it's ultras, it was entirely ultras the whole time. Imagine if you just dematrix like 2 Marines.
That's fair. I guess from a lot of perspective from games that I've seen is that if Terran's on the back foot in the late game, which they tend to be after trading out their units a little bit, it's not always clear like what the answer should be to kind of like claw your way back in off the back foot, because you don't really want to have your science vessels out on the map because there's that threat of Scourge, and so you can never really irradiate ultras before the ultras are charging at you trying to engage you.
Well, I think that's where it comes to playing against what your opponent was doing. We saw almost no Scourge that entire game. And it's like, I'm not saying move across the entire map, but if your buy is like in the middle of the map, then you can poke forward a little bit, hunt for a Defiler or 2, get some free irradiates on that, or even just an eraser on a base if that's under defended, because we saw both players really just have, this is my army, one spot, not defending, no little harassment things, just like trying to one-punch these bases over and over, back and forth. And wow, look at the Dead Lupin with the read. Just goes for the cross scout and does find H. Meyer.
Yeah, pretty good choice. I wonder what he's going to be thinking. Probably just not going to even be concerned with what he's seeing. It just seems like a regular standard Rexify from Terran. On the Zerg side, it seems like 12 hatch into just gas before pool. So looking for that really speedy layer.
Yeah, well, so it doesn't affect the layer speed, as I've learned recently, trying to figure out this whole thing. It's to get the layer and to get the link speed at like the same time. You can see like it finished up. Now, there was a little bit of a hiccup. Dead Lupin didn't get their 12 hatch down to like 400 minerals, so already a little bit on the back foot, not quite as efficient as you'd like, especially when we're talking extra productions and slowing it down at all at the beginning, multiplies as you go through. But Lair is started right in the face of the SCVs. The Lings are not out to even try to Scourge it, so not hiding anything here.
Yeah, and these cross-spawn positions are going to make it really hard for Terran to, put any pressure and punish a Zerg that's just going to go mass drone in the early stages. So Terran, I think he's just going to probably just power up as fast as possible. I'm interested to see if he's going to go... He's going Academy first, so definitely looking to just solidify his tech and try to get an advantage that way.
Yeah, it's already a different build from the Terran. Last game they got the second racks before adding on the Refinery, so I think focusing on hitting that stem time in the way you'd want here. Now, I want to see the same thing from Lupin though. Like that layer finishes, Spire. I don't want delayed, you already see the link speed's halfway done, so that's not going to be causing delay, but I want that Spire on the way as soon as you can manage. So if you're hitting this 2 hatch muted timing, force your opponent to be good about when to get the turrets, all these things. Last game there was a massive window. H. Meyer was late on the eBay, didn't make the turrets right when they could have either.
Yeah, Spire just going down. Yeah, Spire just went down for Dead Lupin, so again, kind of repeating what happened last game. Spire's going to be a little bit late, and it's
But at
definitely going to
least
be.
it's a lot better at least this game.
What is the normal time for a Spire usually?
I don't know by like numbers on the clock, but like last game he had Lair finished before he started Link Speed, before he started Inspire. He was waiting on gas.
Oh, I see.
So
I see.
like it was like just late in the order of things. So this one, you know, it's after the Lair, but not significantly. And blindly making a lot of creep colonies. If you're planning to not make units, I like the decision. I just have the scouts. Don't morph them into Sunkets until you see the movement. Like you don't have to go crazy. We'll see what Lupin ends up wanting to do here.
Well, I think he is going to go crazy because he's looks like this strategy is going to be crazy Zerg once again.
All right, sure, I'm okay with that. And we are getting different build from H. Meyer as well. Where's that academy? It just finished, right? So he didn't get stim yet, and he's out to 4 racks. So this is a very different build. Looking to get stim now. I think looking for much more of a punch early in the game, maybe before your opponent gets really out of control here. But with 4 Sunkens already completed, like if you're going for some big timing attack, and look at this Ling. It's like that has to be Envision, right? Is it? It is.
Yeah, it's Envision.
He's just letting it happen. Like the Ling's just hanging out.
So the Marines can see the Ling, but the Ling can't see the Marines.
That's so funny. That's absolutely great. Now, we do see Dead Lupin, and this is why I didn't want you to morph those into Sunkens right away. Scans going down, wants to see what the tech choice are. Does get enough of the vision to see all the defense. It does see the Spire. So it knows what they need to be doing now. The eBay is done. Where are the turrets? Alright, yeah, they are being
2
made,
in the
so
main, 2 in the natural.
good enough to start for now. I think with the timing of 2-hatch Mutal like this, you don't need a whole lot of defense. The Marines can help you out as well, or you can move out, force the Muse to stay back. And I do see 6 in production, so yeah, really respecting the threat here. I don't mind that at all. Dead Lupin has a lot of gas banked up he can't spend because he just doesn't have the money. This is part of making those Sunkens blind before you need to, and not having the drone count maybe you're looking for because you're investing in all those creep colonies earlier than you probably should. But it is a fast Queen's Nest, so both players doing similar builds, but everything seems accelerated this game. A lot cleaner, maybe a lot less messing with early on in the game, and you got 5 racks plus 1 heading on the way for Meyer against this mutant force that's rushing into Hive as fast as possible for Dead.
Yeah, Meyer got his +1 pretty fast, but his Marine range is a little slow, so he won't be able to fight those mutas as easily. But I think he's well enough defended with turrets that he shouldn't care, and he's moving out right now, so he's definitely feeling confident with his +1 that he knows is going to be finishing within the minute.
Yeah, well, here's a little bit of the counterattack. Like you said, a couple turrets already made, so we'll see where you want to aim for here. Definitely a big window by the ramp, I think, if you're looking for it. So as long as you're being active, and Dead Lupin is going to try to find the window. Where can I get my damage done? This is not dissuading H. Meyer. Still marching right across the map. Big army moving here, and the third base is trying to be taken at the third. He is taking some damage, but doing some work as well. Stim Marines trying to defend.
He's actually getting quite a few Marines. It's a medic too.
And H. Meyer scanned the 6 o'clock, looking for an opportunity to break through somewhere. He's going to take a lot of damage. He's down to 3 at this point, so he did a lot of damage with Crass. Got some good bio kills, killed some SCVs as well. H. Myers, come on. I'm hearing scans, but nothing on that 3 o'clock base. That's the expansion. So again, please don't let that be an expansion that's under defended and gets nothing done. And ooh, I just noticed H. Myers' army on the field has no medics. That is terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's okay because he didn't stem his Marines across the map like the previous game. But it is going to be a little bit of a concern if that gets engaged on. And oh my gosh, more Sunkens going down. Dead Lupin just really not wanting to die to Marines. And for good reason, the Marine count looks pretty scary. It does have +1 and it has its upgrades. But I think he was fine with the 4 and the mutas to support.
I mean, overcautious I don't mind so much, but you can see how unbalanced Dead Lupin's economy. So much gas, no money because he's so broke. But here comes the Stim trying to break through. Sunkens are not made just yet. Does kill one of them, trying to focus fire. 4 Sunkens, though, still very robust for defense. They do finish up in time before he's even killed the 4 that existed, and that's going to do big damage to the army of H. Meyer, repel the attack, and then Lupin survives without any losses.
Yeah, and H.M. Meyer actually is sending another wave of Marines that he's sending across the map to come join up with this force. He's going to pick up an Overlord. I hear a bunch of scans. He still has not scanned the 3rd base.
This
so
is killing me.
really missing an opportunity to just shut down this extra base that has now finished and has 4 drones.
How do you scan not the 2 closest bases, then like the naturals for the 2 mains? Like those are the 4 I scan first, right? Because if they're going Turtle Zerg, they take a natural, then they take a main. If they're going for something normal, they're taking one of the 2 bases closest to them.
Yeah, that's definitely the same scouting pattern I do. I definitely just start sending Marines in all the different bases at this point, and I like this SCV that he's sending to kind of scout around and see what's going on, because he is playing in the dark and he has to be thinking, where is the 3rd base?
It's the one place you didn't look.
Oh, he's gonna find it too. The SCV is en route. Back at home, he's making tanks and science vessels, or he's starting the science facilities. So he's gonna have science vessels pretty soon. Finally finds the base. So let's see if he starts moving his Marines.
I am a little bit concerned when you go tanks and like trying to go science vessels. You're on 2 gases worth of economy. You can't afford like double starter production. You really get yourself starved out here. And you see the attempt at defending. It's a couple mutas. One dies immediately. This creep colony's not even gonna get close to finishing. And I like that H. Meyer didn't bring everything. He brought a little bit because he knows there's no defense here. He wants to still control that bridge, make sure there's no craziness. All these drones explode. Hatchery's gonna die. Great move from H. Meyer to put Lupin much more under the gun here. Ultra Cavern is about to finish, so can go into the Ultra play that was so effective for him last game. And we can see H. Meyer is working on finishing +1/+1. I would have much preferred getting +2 weapons real quick. I think that would have been a lot better, but we'll see what it ends up being. You just poke forward, but you don't have enough to harass any of this bioforces. Look at H. Meyer's production. Like, he could just make so much stuff here. He's even working on a 2nd starport anyway. He doesn't care.
Well, I'd like to see him take a 3rd base. I mean, he has total map control right now, and these, 8 Sunkens pretty much indicate that the Zerg have no intention of ever trying to fight for the map. They just want to stay at home and get their tech up. And Ultralisk Cavern is done. He's getting that armor, the chitinous plating, but I think it might be a little too late because these tanks are here and they're going to start breaking down this sunken wall.
Definitely feels that way so far. And you can see Siege is done right outside the bridge. It's going to be so hard to actually engage onto any of this and kind of keep moving forward. I just slowly whittle it down, no big deal. 3 mutas? No, 4 mutas. That's still not enough. It's a token gesture. He is making more behind this, so you group up enough, maybe you can power your way through. Keep setting out little groups of links that are literally just dying upon arrival, but does occupy the Marines' time. Mutas try to go in, they get 1 tank halfway down, loses all those mutas so that he's making more. He's never going to get to that mass that can actually get it done. Like, he needs to be patient here. You're buying time with these Sunkens. You don't need the force.
Well, I know in his field of view, he probably feels like the entire map is dark and he has no idea how many bases the Terran is and what the reinforcements are going to look like. And the reinforcements do look pretty scary. I mean, behind this, he has 6 barracks of production and 2 port is in production now. So probably just crossing his fingers that he doesn't just get all in rushed right now. But there are no defenders and the mutas did move away. So this attack may turn out to be pretty costly for him.
Yeah, but the tanks aren't moving forward. The Marines are trying to take a bunch of free damage. A couple Ultras do engage as well. They have chitinous, but only +1 armor behind it. So even upgrades so far as these Ultras go, 2 of them die as they get baited into the tanks. The Bio's not covering the tanks anymore. So the Muta's actually getting some work done, finally killing off 1. All but 1 of the Sunkens has been killed at this point, but I think H. Meyer they were doing it so methodically. And they ran in with the Marines like, your tanks were killing those for a reason. Just let the tanks do it. He oversteps, loses his entire control of that, and now the dead Lupin, we saw this last game. It's like, All right, you tried to break. You didn't do it. I have Ultra Tech now. We're good to go.
I mean, from HMI's point of view, I mean, he probably felt like he was on a timer. Ultras are just such a swingy unit, and he probably felt like if he spends any more time waiting for the tanks to bust down this natural, he's just going to have to deal with Ultras, and he probably wants none of that business. So definitely understand his pain, although unfortunately it is going to cost him map control. And again, we see that Zerg just taking his third base that gets scouted immediately, so thankfully he's going to know, Terran's going to know about it. But yeah, a little bit too hasty on the push into the Zerg natural, and immediately more Sunkens going up.
I mean, apparently they're doing their job, so just keep doing it, right?
Yeah, I can't blame what's working.
Finally sending a drone to another location. Top right will be the next base for Deadlooping. When he gets the money to build, this is the problem with building static defense. You lose a lot of drones and a lot of money kind of investing in them. So it's already expensive with going this Muta into Ultraless kind of play. The level 2 armor does finish for these Ultras now, so the Terran is actually behind the gun. These Ultras are going to be way more effective than they were before. So Radiates or making sure you have siege tanks, something with a little more punch to it is going to be so important if you're going to try to take any fights on the field. And a drone doesn't top right, is not going to top right. It's heading over to the 3 o'clock. What? Why?
I think he's going to make the gas with it. Oh no, decides to go for a creep colony.
We had another player, I forget who it was, we were watching semifinals match they were playing in, and they just made so many bunkers, and I feel like this is like the Zerg equivalent, it's just like creep colonies are my favorite unit.
The bunkers are pretty good units, from what I heard.
They definitely can be, I guess. But now you see H. Meyer, they lost the one scout SCV, that triggers their vengeance. So here comes the attack moving across the field here. Couple vessels with some energy. And a decent little bioforce behind it, but like I was saying, the Ultra is ahead on armor, so not going to be what you're looking for here. Ooh, these oh, don't lose these vessels. They're so far away from the bio at this point. No.
Oh, the Mutas are hurting each other.
Well, they killed a bunch of vessels, so that is kind of worth it, I think, at this point. Dead looping, these Ultras are going to go attack, and like, just select one of them. Watch how much damage it doesn't take.
Hate to see that happen. Oh my gosh. It's a nightmare just seeing all these Ultras shred up these Marines. But behind this, he does have a good wall at his third base, so Ultras will probably have a really hard time cracking that third base when they do decide to attack, but I think they're just going to go for the kill and just go straight for the Terran natural. I mean, there's... how many Marines is that? 10 Marines and 2 tanks, and I don't think 10 Marines can beat 6 Ultras, so...
You have the bunker to help too, but yeah, no, that attack would definitely work. Dead looping, because they've been playing in the dark, just assumes there's a base at the 9, does not catch it. Does give them a window to take up their own third, start getting that established. I'm seeing a lot of scans go down again. What do you want to look at? He's trying to get some idea where the opponent is, right? Yeah, across the bottom side, see with more expansions. Ooh,
well, I mean,
it's going to get canceled. Oh no.
Ultra's just running past the Marines. Oh, gonna get these tanks. That's huge, actually, because those tanks are going to be the main damage dealers for this next engagement. So as soon as those tanks get cleaned up, you should just go for these Marines.
The Bioforce is at their +2 weapons now, so, you know, even fight as even as it can be against fighting Ultras. No longer
+3 is about to finish, though.
Yeah, yeah, that's not great. Never mind. And H-Mark gonna tap out again. Another 2-0 and another one for the flying SCVs. Their tier 3 is kicking some ass here, winning every game we've seen so far. That's gonna be one more set to go. We got, what, we're at the 13 now for the flying SCVs. They are ready for grand finals. They are really just showing us, like, no, we're gonna break the curse again. Number 1 seed will not win. Love to see it.
Yeah, definitely putting up a good fight. You know, H. Meyer, I mean, he definitely had good macro in that Eclipse game. It just seemed like the bio balls just kept getting swallowed by this Ultralisk force, and then eventually, as you lose map control, you kind of lose your grip on the game. And I mean, we saw that in game 2 where he just tried to rush down that natural. I mean, he was in such a dominating position until that point.
Yeah, I think some of the things, if you are a Terran player dealing with, like, I can't beat Ultras, not having gaps between your weapon upgrades, like, +1 finishes, immediately go +2. Like, really keep up on it. That helps out a lot. Or the things that do more damage, you know. Raids are helpful, but so are tanks, and I think Spider Mines can even pull their weight a bit, too. So, there's definitely other things you could do rather than just, like, I'm throwing my bio and it's not working. Well, there's other things to try as well. But you know what? We got one more set to go. We are not seeing the Ultra list in this one. You are closing out the night with the Terran versus Terran, as you do. You save it for last because you have to. But that's okay. Hopefully still a good time. Tier 3, you know, you're never going to know what you're seeing here. In the top right, in the red Terran, it's Piggy's Go Moo.
In the bottom left, we have our Terran player, Nerf Ingen.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Nerf Engine?
Sure. I'm going Nerf. I'm shortening it. I'm not dealing with this.
All right, so place your bets now. Do you think we're going to see Cheese game 1?
Well,
2 racks.
Eclipse is definitely a Cheese viable map. I don't see a lot of like the BBS, the real aggressive Cheese. I see more of the like, I'm going like mass vultures early, like trying to end the game fast or get a big advantage, or like I'm going like 2-port cloak wraith or something. Like, so I wouldn't say Cheese, but I would definitely say we probably see something aggressive.
Yeah, I think the cheesiest memory I have on this map is having somebody build their 2 barracks at the 3rd location and having them float over in the fog of war, and then having in-base Marines, you know, kind of just catch me on the back foot.
No, I've gotten hard gated before plenty of times here. It's the worst. There's so much room in the main, you don't even see it coming.
Yeah, honestly, whenever I see the lack of a probe, I just start running my SCV around my base because I just assume that they're cheesing.
Yeah, it could definitely get out of hand here. Now, one of the things I'm always looking for early on this, it's if you want to cut your corners the best you can, you make as few Marines as possible. But is it going to be like, is someone going for like a gaslight expand? Do they want to get the tech? We do see the refinery taken from Piggy's Go Moo, as well as from Nerfkins, no one going for the gaslight expand. This is something I know Sublime was really harping on last time we casted a TBT together, but positioning means everything. So I don't think he likes the idea of, I'm going to get this safe expansion up, but forfeit map control.
Well, what does he mean exactly by that? Because I mean, I guess getting map control is kind of dependent by your vulture count in the early game.
Well, the easiest way that you can think about it is, if you have to engage the fight, you're probably not engaging where you want to. So like a map like this, if you get right outside your opponent's natural, or that high ground right by the natural, with a bunch of tanks and you can like set up your minefield, you could set up everything the way you want, how the hell do you attack into that efficiently? Right?
Yeah, I see what you mean then.
So definitely could be a rough spot here. Piggy's Go Moo has their first factory away and pulled guys out of the gas, so looking to get that early expansion up. So looking like they're going to play the normal game. We'll see when the first factory goes down for Nerf. Does he pull anyone from the gas? I still see 2 in there, so get up a little more gas income. This could mean wanting to get a second factory, maybe a starport, or just some kind of upgrades instead. But it seems like so far, normal builds from both players, and Nerf only made the 1 Marine, so really cutting the corners. We're getting at least a little bit more from Piggies, and they're trying to save up to get that CC as soon as they can.
He actually decided to get the 2nd Marine, so I think he maybe saw 2 Marines on Piggy's side and just decided to match Marine count just in case there's some kind of Marine push across the map. Is going to lose that SCV though, so a little sad. Piggy still has his SCV hiding around by this grass or fern. I don't know what this is, but it's just chilling, you know, in the north. Maybe gonna go around for a second pass, check if there's a natural. Nerf looking to build his expansion, puts it down, looks pretty good. Going shop first before vulture, so a little risky. If this vulture decided to go across the map, Nerf would be in a little bit of trouble because he only has those 2 Marines. But overall, it seems like pretty much mirroring builds.
Well, Piggy still hasn't made a shot yet. So,
And
definitely a difference between the two. For Vulture is being made. We'll see if there's going to be for another factory. It looks like he has an SCV in position to make some other production building. We do see Nerf start a second factory, so getting a little idea here. Not going to be a starport, and Piggies will match as well. So, two factories in both. Nerf at least has the machine shop to get the upgrades, which are very effective in this matchup to have, but I think they're both players going to sit back a little bit and try to get these expansions up, because it's real easy to like be too aggressive with your vultures, lose them, and then you're like, oh crap.
well, Piggies is opting to go with mines first, so that's an interesting choice. I think, in my opinion, I prefer getting speed first, just because mines, they don't do anything against opposing vultures. So it kind of feels bad when you have a bunch of mines and don't have speed, and then all your vultures get caught out by the enemy vultures.
Well, mines are also, they're good for vision. You can get an idea of when your opponent's moving out, and like you're saying, because the vultures will trigger them, the only thing they're going to trigger on is probably tanks.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Piggies, like you're saying, if you prefer the speed first, that's what we're going to get. And he's making a starport pretty quick, so I actually would not be surprised if this is like a speed vulture drop. If that's going to be like the plan moving forward. Definitely could be something pretty effective. The barracks are starting to move forward enough where, scouting will actually start hitting some information. Nerfkin is going to move on out. The barracks does see 3 vultures on the way, and they are slow. But if you clicked on them, you would have seen that they have mines, even though he didn't make any yet.
Can you actually see opposing enemy mines if you click on them?
I have no idea. I just realized that's something I can do as an observer. Like, I don't know if that's true.
That would be a pretty interesting feature that I would incorporate, but I didn't even know that was something you could do. Oh no!
Betrayal. Oh, good micro there to make sure that mine gets killed off before it can do anything. Alright.
Yeah, these mines are definitely slowing down this push. I think Piggies got scared after he saw the first mine and just decided, no way, not gonna cross that bridge. But he does see this Goliath, so definitely he knows that there's an armory, so maybe he will reconsider his air choice. Nah, he's gonna go for drops. He's all about the drops. Going for double shot as well, so looking to just bolster his tank production. And I see 4 vultures for Piggy, so definitely gonna be that 4 vulture drop. I wonder what it'll hit, because it seems like the main has pretty good vision of everything for Nerf. And, well, actually I take it back. Piggies is going to go ahead and attack and push back this force from Nerf. Do you know if either of them have siege mode?
I don't believe either of them do. Because Nerf is researching it now, and Piggies has not researched it, I don't believe. They've been using the gas for that starport, that upgrade. And now we see a 3rd command center on the way as well with the armory. So I like that Piggies, get a little bit yourself in a good position. Ooh, this counterattack from Nerf might be pretty big. There's like no defense here, and there's a barracks that sees that there's no defense there.
Yeah, I'm a little worried for Piggies getting backstabbed by these 3 vultures. 3 is like the magic number for backstabs. But on the other side, I only see 3 tanks for Nerf, or I guess the 4th one just finished, against the 4 tanks of Piggies. So I think Piggies can maybe get the siege up first and start to contain. But we'll have to see as these vultures just make up their mind on what they want to do.
Yeah, a couple tanks available. You can see the vultures are moving out, it's laying down some mines. This dropship hasn't moved out across the map yet. I don't know if they're waiting for something in particular or what the move's going to be. But that mine up at the 12 is going to be annoying to deal with if you want to land that CC. You're going to have to go off and clear it out. But, both players, I think... Ooh, no, Nerf actually doesn't have scans yet. Huh. I feel like this is getting to the point where it's a little reckless to not have scans. Actually, doesn't even have an academy start.
Yeah, I would say that he's in a pretty bad spot right now as far as just like not knowing what's going on the map. He does have those vultures which are going to help him get an idea of what reinforcements are coming, and as he sees those 3 tanks, he's probably going to be a little concerned that this contain is going to come and is going to hit pretty hard. So he's going up to 4 factories and an eBay, so he's going to protect himself from that Wraith. But he really needs to start being more active with his units and at least try to create a wall so that Red can't contain all of his units to his natural.
Yeah, we'll see what the choice ends up being. Looks like tank is going to go up to the 12 and try to clear out this mine, let that CC land so Piggy can get that economic advantage. And ooh, both players next to each other, sieging up. There's more tanks here for Piggy. Vulture are going to run on in. Can they get the mines laid down? Looks like we got 2. 1 is here. It's going to go off. It does kill off a tank, so that's pretty good so far. And tanks that Piggy's has are a little bit out of range, but still, both sides. Ooh, this is what I'm talking about, that positioning. We got a bunch of free shots happening. Manages to get 1 off at least, so could be a lot worse here, but Nerf is trying to muscle their way out. Piggy's is significantly up on supply, especially workers, but not really reinforcing the attack the way you would hope.
Yeah, and he did a pretty good job in that first fight, but these next 4 tanks are going to be a little bit of a challenge because they are on the high ground. That one on the top left can be picked off if Nerf decides to go ahead and snipe it. All his tanks are in good health except for the one on the left, which is at 81. But he does have a timer ticking. Piggy's did take his 12 o'clock base, so he will eventually have that kick into his production. And as you see, he immediately throws down 2 additional factories, so it's going to be 6 factory against the 4 of Nerf.
Yeah, we are getting the move out. It's a lot of SCVs. That's a good way to cover if you're going to move out and try to get something done. But he doesn't move out the rest of his units, so I feel like, I don't know why you're moving out the SCV so aggressively, but does get a tank kill, you know, trying to break the position a little bit. If you moved out with the army, I love that move. I think that's great. It's a nice, cheap way to make sure you can avoid some of that siege tank fire, be in a good spot. But, you know, as it is, just kind of weakens that contain a little bit. Piggy's on that 3rd base. Both players have armory, can work on their upgrades as much as they would like, and I don't think he's feeling too stressed about the situation.
Nah, I think Piggy's is in a really good position. Nerf kind of throwing a curveball right now, going up to 3 starports, so looking to do a Wraith switch off of 2 gas right now, so a little bit unorthodox, but it might pay off because Piggy's, well, he does have 1 Goliath, but if Piggy doesn't know this is coming, it could catch him by surprise.
I can't believe you said, like, it might pay off. It's like, that's the perfect opportunity for that's a bold move, Con, and you're just not going to go for it. Like, you're not about that.
I mean, I don't know. Me myself, I make Wraiths and they just die so fast, and I can rarely get value from them unless they're picking off dropships.
Yeah, well, I think if you've researched his cloak, especially, things will be a little bit better. We are seeing Piggy go covert ops. You know, we're here for fun, sure. But he doesn't have a CC with a slot for a nuke silo, so why are we getting the covert ops?
He just wants the lockdown. That's that's what he's into. Not the nukes, just the lockdown.
I mean, it could be an option. Now, we do see 2 dropships from Piggy's going to moving across that top side, across the left, and still has a race, so that's going to even give some clear vision. Nerf does land this base without any defense, and use the dropship to just get some SCVs over there. Love the move, it's pretty fun. But that means there's extra value here to kill. I would actually kill the dropship right now if I was that Wraith. Like, you're not going to kill SCVs, especially as you're dropping more stuff to give them no route to escape.
Well, I mean, I know a lot of people are just taught, like, kill SCV, win games, so he's probably thinking, hey, dude, dropships are not SCVs, so why even bother with the dropship? He's going to lose the Wraith, though, so a little sad. The Wraith could have maybe caught the dropship as they try to ferry more units back, but, you know, it is what it is, and right now, Piggy has a super scary army on that ramp, but Nerf is pumping out dropships, so he's just going to go for a Doom drop, it seems like, and I guess try to end the game that way.
Yeah, but he doesn't really have enough units for a Doom drop. Like, what is he going to throw in stuff?
That is a good question that I do not have the answer for. 3 of those dropships are already filled, so I guess whatever. What is that? 2 tanks, 8 vultures, 12 vultures, and 3 tanks.
Well, drop keeps going for Piggies. He goes in the main, the dropships leave. He's leaving those tanks to die. But honestly, that's fine. They're in a great spot as it is. You can see here, the move is the tanks are going to drop like they're zealots. They're going to try to break out this opening, and with Piggies already in position, he wasn't even sieged there. So you drop right into melee range, everything gets to fight as it's happening, and that move from Nerf doesn't get the job done. The contain's still good. Everything in the main's still doing their job, and that's Piggies taking the first game. I think they're just backed against the wall, took the best shot they thought they had.
I think that was a pretty good drop in what it aimed to do, which was kill the sieged tanks. I think it would have done a lot more damage had he not tried sieging the tanks that had dropped from the dropship. But I mean, it's easy to get pretty excited and just siege up tanks because you know that tanks do more damage when they're sieged.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, the tanks on siege still do more single target DPS though. That is true. We're going into game 2. We'll see if there's any difference in the strategies. In that top right, in the red again, is Piggies Gomu.
And in the bottom left, we have Nerf again. Apparently he's experiencing some lag. No, Piggies is experiencing some lag.
Well, they said sorry about lag. They're apologizing. It's like, all right, we're going into game 2. Start downloading, flip on the Netflix. Just like, all right, got the moves.
Well, I mean, I don't know that Terran can do this, but I know like if you're ever playing against like Protoss and they go to center gate, I've seen people turn on high latency right as they have their zealots hit the Terran base, and it makes it so much harder to micro the Marines.
Yeah, no, that's a move I've seen a lot. I have not done it. I'm a gentleman. I type, hey, how are you, as I'm sending the stuff. It's like, let's bait you to a friendly conversation.
Have them chat while they're trying to micro?
Well, no, like, so you send zealots, you ask like a friendly question, and if they're typing at all, they can't micro because they're using their keyboard to type. So it's like, if they're being a jerk, it doesn't, and they don't want to say anything, that's fine. But, you know, if they're being friendly, then you're the jerk and whatever.
Well, I mean, you were at least saying hi. You were giving a salutation, a greeting. Not the end of the world.
Yeah, I guess I gotta change what I say. I should say something like, imagine if zealots were walking to your base right now.
You'd always go with the classic "from?" ?
No, that's bait. That's all bait. Like, no, you gotta act like you just like got back into StarCraft. Like, oh man, I haven't played since 2008. What about you?
Oh man, that's probably like the. Whoa, okay. I was about to mention how the Blue Terran did not go for a refinery, but the refinery did just go down, so we're all good there. Both players actually going for gas expands or gas builds, so nothing too crazy happening in the early and no proxy shenanigans. Both players scouting in the wrong direction, or not scouting in the wrong direction, but opting to scout clockwise or counterclockwise.
Yeah, now we'll see what it is. The first divergence you're really looking for, if they take a refinery, is like they get that first factory. Is there anything pulled out of gas, or is this like an opportunity to 2-fac, maybe get an early starport, do something with a little bit of aggression behind it? Well, both players before, you know, they got the factory, pulled some out of gas, got the early expansion. We're very comfortable moving into a normal kind of mid game, which I love that. We saw some other TVTs in the semifinals. It's like, I guess in the playoffs, people don't want to just be like, I'm not playing this matchup, just gamble with some nonsense cheese. Like, the people actually want to play the matchup properly.
Yeah, it is a bit of a relief because I was actually expecting 3-factory Vulture last game from one of the players, and one of them just decided to go 2-factory. So definitely just respecting a longer term strategy and just like immediate wins.
Well, you say that, but let's look at Nerf space. That he didn't take guys out of gas, and there's 2 factories in production.
Yeah, and I'm actually wondering if he's going to go for some kind of tank push or if he's going to go Vulture heavy. In my opinion, I think Vulture heavy is the way to go. But I want to see how he's going to throw this over at Piggies. I mean, Piggies, has 1 factory. And he's going Vulture before Shop, so seems like it's going to be pretty light on tanks.
Yeah, I see a third factory. We're getting the shop up. I think we're seeing some 3 factory vultures against someone trying to expand. And they are getting a bunker at the front. That'll help out a lot, honestly. Especially if you put another building at the front to wall things off, make it more of a pain for these vultures to kind of get in and do what they want to do. But it's going to be up to Nerf to see if he can find an opening, because I think Piggy's already in a good spot to deflect this pressure, because you still need a little time before you get these vulture upgrades finished. You can see the second machine shop being made, so no vultures even started yet. So.
Yeah, and this barracks is floating over to a really nice position, which I think is just going to wall off any entry to the ramp. So definitely just going to be A-okay as far as when these vultures hit. So for Nerf's sake, I hope he has a really nice card up his sleeve so that he can just find another way to make some magic happen with his build, because as of right now, Piggy's is in just like a really, really nice spot.
Yeah, you can see Nerf here really focusing on this, like, ending the game, because he's not making SCVs anymore. Like, this is... I'm actually surprised he's still actually mining gas like this, but I think you would have to be able to transition out eventually. I'm not sure what the move you'd want it to be, but he's got everything he needs. Now, he did at least deny the SCV scout. He had Marines on the ramp that did kill the SCV, so nothing got in the base to see, like, what the gas count was, I believe. So, at least getting some good knowledge. Piggy's going to take their second gas at the natural, and actually working towards the starport, so we'll see if we're going to see another one of those drop plays, or maybe just a move towards early wraiths. I would actually love to see a wraith come out fast, because you're playing a little bit in the dark. It gets you some free damage, but some free scouting info as well. Here come the speed vultures. They're going to show up. They are outnumbered on the defensive edge, and that bunker is here with a couple Marines in it, so they're going to have to wait and figure out how they're going to bust through. Mines are not going to help, and Piggy's does make that wraith first.
Yeah, and I think Nerf must have hit a supply block, because I'm not sure how Piggy's managed to get a higher vulture count than Nerf. I mean, Nerf, of course, had the 3 factories.
Well, remember that Nerf made 2 machine shops, and he
that's right.
He wasn't producing. He right away.
Well, I mean, he has a soft contain up, so that's gonna help him out if he decides to go ahead and add in some tanks to maybe block Piggy's in. But that wraith is gonna really throw him for a loop, because there's no anti-air at all.
Yeah, I don't love that Nerf is actually trying to expand behind this, because like the wraith is going to see everything. It saw that it's just vultures out here, and like as it gets there, it's going to see the expansion try to be taken. It'll be able to easily deny that as much as it likes. And it's like you go into the main, there's no real defense. You can see Piggy actually feels comfortable now. He's got plenty of vultures. He's going to move out. These mines are doing nothing at this point. Nerf loses a couple vulture, has to retreat. And when you're doing an aggressive build like this, that you cut this many workers for to get online, and your CC just got stalled, this is just not the way you want to start the game.
Yeah, and his vultures are getting picked out on the map, so he's really not going to have any kind of standing army to help defend when these vultures crash into the natural. So, Nerf in a bit of a tricky spot. This tank's actually walking across the map. I think that might have been a bad rally, but hoping it doesn't get caught by these vultures and immediately killed, because that tank's probably would have made the difference between him dying and not dying. But went ahead and just called GG.
Yeah, I think Piggy made the strong move just to kind of move out of a great spot here, the Wraith especially, and we saw at the end of the game that was like double supply. There just wasn't enough. But that is going to be another 2-0. Their tier 3 was entirely 2-0 wins, all for flying SCVs. You want to talk about a team ready to fight in the finals. I think these guys are really showing it, because we started the night at 9-5, flying SCVs almost secure that spot. We ended at 14-5, so flying SCVs doing a great job. They will meet the Destructos in the grand finals, which we're going to start casting as soon as possible. That might be Monday. That will be Tuesday if it's not Monday. So, stay in the Discord. We'll cast every game as we were before. You'll get all the announcements. But Neon Sword, thank you for joining me tonight to cast some stuff.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was definitely a fun time. Hopefully we see you all for the grand finals cast that will be starting very shortly. So everyone, have a good night. We'll see you next time.
See ya.